What's up, guys? Welcome to SpawnCast, another Saturday night. Another bunch of lovely people to talk to tonight. Had a couple extra people on because Max is actually out at like a Halloween party or something tonight. So he's usually the co-host. He's actually not available tonight. But I have a couple extra people on. We have, I'm going to actually go from left to right on my screen here. We have Evan, as usual.
Hey.
So Evan's with us. From to his right on my screen is OJ from Player Essence.
How's it going, everyone?
Good. And then we have Sean from RGT85.
Hello.
And then we have Rob from what was it? Rob to Rule?
Rule of two review.
Get damn these tough names.
Yeah.
Too many words. Yeah, it's rule of two review.
Yep, we have Colin Moriarty with us. So.
And Colin Moriarty from Rob's Last Stand.
I can't believe you get that so much in your comment section. Like you just started.
I share the occasional tweet about it too, but it probably happens 4 or 5 times a week. Like,
dude,
so often.
You know what you should do? You should start up a Patreon. That's what if I were you, that's what I would do.
Do it. Rob's First Stand.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So many people. Like I can't even tell if they're being serious or they're joking sometimes because sometimes they sound genuine.
Yeah. No. I mean, I've heard it for so long. I mean, for so long. So I think so. I guess we just have the same face, you know?
Yeah. I mean. I guess it kind of works to your advantage though, because they might accidentally subscribe to you thinking they're going to get like political
Colin's
commentary.
new gaming channel. How cool!
I
wish I had his subscribers.
But then they realize that you actually say something good about Nintendo, and they're like, "Wait a minute, this isn't Colin." Like,
yes, that does conflict. I don't really hate Colin, but he does have that problem. So yeah, that would conflict.
Let me jump around here. What have we been playing, guys? What have you guys been playing?
Nothing came out this past week, so I don't know what anybody would possibly be playing.
I've actually quit video games. I'm not really into video games anymore. I'm doing Pogs, trying to bring Pogs back. So
bring them back.
Yeah. Good luck.
Let's talk about the big game then. Let's talk about Mario Odyssey. Let's just jump right into it because that game is absolutely insane. It is so good.
I thought you were going to talk about Bubsy. I thought Bubsy, the Woolies. That's what I was talking about. Right. But hey, you know what? If you want to talk about Mario, that's fine.
I think pretty much everyone who owns a Switch probably bought it at this point. I'd like to think that anyway. It's everybody online was all about it. It was Mario Odyssey everywhere.
Yeah.
It's felt really good to kind of see like the social storm of like Mario and Nintendo support happening again. It kind of feels like when the Switch was launching and Zelda was out and it was the one game and one thing everyone was talking about. So it's like happening all over again and everyone gets to share meta scores that are like 1 trillion and really exciting all over the place. And it's been pretty awesome. And the game actually is that great too. So that helps.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I can't even say like, it's hard to put into words. Like,
dude, you got to get out of of New Donk City, man.
I finally left because Jason was like telling me how great like the ending of the game was. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I left and I did the beach in the snow. I just finished the snow. And then Jason's like, hey, did you get this part in New Donk City? And I'm like, that doesn't sound familiar. And he described it a little more. And I was like, damn it, I must go back.
Dude, you gotta. I was telling the other guys before we went on just now. You wanna get to the end of the game. Basically, get through the game as fast as you can because when you get to the end, they give you like a list of all the moons and stuff to get, like so you can actually keep track of your moons easier.
All right, cool.
And the game actually opens up like much more when you beat it. And it doesn't take long. I actually finished it yesterday, so it took me about 12 hours to finish the game.
Yeah, I think I could probably knock it out tonight. That's the goal at least.
That's crazy. All of you guys are able to jump on it and get to that ending so fast. I'm so jealous. It'll probably take me like 2 weeks to beat that game, which I'm totally cool with too, because it just means more new Mario to have ahead of me. And I totally drug Zelda out in the same way. I let that game last for 2 months. It's like, I don't want to get to the point where there's no new Zelda to play. Yeah. And, I kind of feel that way with Mario too, because it's so good. I put in probably, you know, I got home late last night and cracked it open really late and played a couple of hours this morning, maybe 4 or 5 hours. I'm going to guess I have in the range of 60 or 70 moons total, and I'm in the woods. So I've yet to make it to New Donk City, and everyone is starting to freak out about New Donk City. So something happens there that I'm really curious about. So.
It's the craziest level in a Mario game ever. and it's just like it's crafted so well. The end of it is mind blowing. There's like
that's what I heard is the end. Something about the end.
I'm not gonna say what it is, but like
we got a. This is actually a good question. I know this is good for Sean and OJ because I heard you guys have talked about this before. He needs help deciding between Skyrim or Doom for the Switch.
OJ, you want it first or me?
I'll take a stab at it because I've played Skyrim extensively. Doom, I have not. You need to ask yourself what type of gamer like are you? You know what I'm saying? Like you need to. That's the first thing that you need to ask yourself. Do you want a game that's going to like? You want a single player RPG that you can literally play? This game has hundreds of hours of content, like hundreds of hours of single player content. Do you want that style of game, or do you want like a first person shooter with somewhat okay multiplayer? That's what you have to realize. Skyrim's probably going to get you way more hours. So if you're looking for like, you know, money and like how much content you get, then you probably want to go with Skyrim. Like if you're looking for that. Now, if you're more of a first person shooter guy and you like multiplayer and all that, then maybe you go with Doom. But maybe Sean has a different perspective that he can kind of share on that.
Doom. No, I mean, I would pick Doom just because I absolutely loved Doom on the PS4, and this looks like a very good version of it. I did not have to. I mean, I didn't ever get the DLC in Doom, and it seems like they added new modes in the DLC, which is all the DLC is included. Skyrim is going to be great. Like, don't get me wrong, but I feel like you have a better chance of seeing Skyrim drop in price before Doom drops in price because I think Doom's going to outsell Skyrim personally.
I think you're right about that.
But yeah, I mean, but OJ is right. It just sort of depends on what kind of game you like. If you like first person shooters, get Doom. If you like, you know, open world RPGs, get Skyrim, or save up your money and mow some lawns and, you know, hop an old person. You have to and get both.
yeah. I mean, they're both good games. You really can't go wrong. I think you're right though, Sean, because Doom is a little more fresh, I guess, to people, whereas Skyrim was on the 360 like forever ago.
Plus, I mean, Skyrim is it's not similar to Zelda, but it's sort of in that, you know, that open world aspect. Whereas there is no first person shooter right now on the Nintendo Switch. Like, this is the first one, and the first one that comes out the gate happens to be like one of the best first person shooters ever. So it's like,
to be fair though, if you're looking for a lot of content for your money, Skyrim is like, I know people who still play Skyrim to this day.
And the thing about it is that I went through the original Xbox 360 game and I put about 250 hours into the original Xbox 360 game with no DLC. That's just walking around and doing stuff, you know, and doing all this stuff. This has every single bit of DLC in it. It's literally almost endless. For if you're an adult, there's no way that you're going to really get through this anytime soon, unless you literally sit down and play it 24/7. It'd be very tough to get through everything that game gives you anytime soon, unless you literally played it like for 24 hours a day, every single day, and like didn't stop. It has hundreds upon hundreds of hours of content with all the DLC in there. But like Sean said, Doom is really good. It's newer. It just came out last year. So if you're looking for something a little bit more fresh, a little bit more modern, then yeah, maybe Doom is that. And you also get multiplayer in there. So, you know, Doom multiplayer that can last you some time as well, you know?
I will say Skyrim on the Switch looks like it's going to run almost pretty much exactly the same as the Xbox One and PS4 version. So I mean, it's looking good. Like the visuals.
Yeah, I heard the performance is looking really good on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to Dave and Philip both said when they played it, they didn't see any frame drops, and the load times were actually faster on the Switch.
That's awesome. That literally sounds better than the PC version I played when that first came out. So that's awesome.
Yeah, when it came out, there were a lot of bugs, and they fixed some of it. But then if your frame rate went too high, the physics started going crazy. Like if you walk in a room, like they have like stuff on tables, they just fly into the air because the frame rate's so high. It was crazy. Mark Bryant with the 5 spot, showing love for Mr. Long and OJ.
Thank you, sir.
Nice. Thank you, sir.
Where do you fall on that one, Rob? Which way would you go on that?
It's a tough call. I mean, you guys all covered it really well. And those are two of my definite favorite games. I spent over 200 hours also in Skyrim on the PC version when it came out. And Doom, I adore so much. Just like Sean said, it's really stupid how good Doom is. So I mean, I don't know, kind of like you guys said, they're both so polar opposites. It's really as simple as which kind of game I think you want. I think they're both spectacular. One thing I'll say about Doom and why there's a nice advantage to Doom over Skyrim, although I think I might personally prefer Skyrim just a little bit, is Doom is also like the newer game, and it's more of like a showcase to what the Switch can do, I think, than Skyrim, because Skyrim is so old. It's huge, and so it's impressive to get a game that huge with so many millions of options on the Switch. Like, that feels really cool to see a big Bethesda game on it. But Doom is also gorgeous, and it won't be on 60 frames per second on the Switch, which does suck for sure, but I think we all know it's really exciting to finally see like those kinds of third-party visuals and that amazing engine running on the Switch. And all the reports were that it looks great and it runs great even in 30, and it's really exciting to have this game. So you kind of have like a showy game if you get Doom on the Switch, which is cool because you can show your friends who maybe think the Switch is dumb. You're like, oh, really? Well, here, look at Doom. And that becomes a cool thing too. So
I do want to add one more thing. I do want to add one more thing that it might be important. If you're getting Xenoblade Chronicles 2, then maybe you skip out on Skyrim, you know? Maybe you get Doom and then you
kind
just
of the
get
same
Xenoblade.
market, yeah.
Yeah, like you just get Xenoblade, because there's no way you're going to be able to play Skyrim and all the content and Xenoblade. There's like, I mean, you can try, good luck, but I mean, maybe you skip out on Skyrim. You just get Xenoblade. They'll give you a little bit more time, then you kind of put that time into Doom. So
it's also kind of nice because one's a Western RPG and the other one's like a JRPG. So you could kind of go from like, you know, medieval times to like fantasy, like back and forth. I mean, technically you could, but you're right though, because Doom definitely is a massive contrast to either of those other two, Xenoblade or
so different.
Or Skyrim.
So different.
I will say buy one of them because we're getting close to having some trouble not having games that, you know, have all the games so far we're seeing have microtransactions, and we're actually seeing some games come out from Bethesda, which seems to be the company leading the way to not add loot crates, these things. Buy one of them at least, because I fear for Wolfenstein right now. So I don't know how well that actually sold.
From what I'm understanding, like I'm checking out the Amazon charts. I just kind of keep track on that. I got my source with Best Buy. Seems it was a bit soft at my Best Buy, but you can't go off of my Best Buy. You know, there was nobody there picking it up at the midnight launch that we had for Super Mario. There was a couple people there for Assassin's Creed. Then pretty much everyone was there for Mario. So
I'm worried it's going to turn out like Prey. I really worry about that.
I don't think it's going to be quite as bad. It's up on the Amazon sales charts. I know it was in the top 20. So the PS4 version, on the Xbox One version, a little bit lower, but it was up there. So we'll see how it does long term. But I mean, you know how these I just don't. I don't want the people like EA to be validated with when they say single player games no more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I want it to do better, and I'm like hoping it does. Like I'm buying Doom. I'm gonna buy Wolfenstein when it comes to Switch. So I'm gonna do my part, but it's just gonna be. You know, I hope it does better, because we already know that The Evil Within 2 is not
doing well. Yeah,
no,
which is so sad. So
real quick, R Potter with the 5 spots. Say one last drink before bed. Midterm papers to write tomorrow. Enjoy one on me. All right, thanks, R Potter. Good luck with the midterms tomorrow.
Good luck, man.
There you go. Thanks, guys. You made my choice. He's going with Doom.
Okay. Hey, there you go.
There you go.
I mean, you can't go wrong either way, right?
They're can't go wrong.
Really awesome
you really
games.
can't.
Don't sleep on LA Noire though either. So.
Oh shit!
Did you want 90 games to buy? Because they're coming.
Oh man, what were you saying, Rob?
You made an interesting comparison with Prey, which I think is possibly true because Prey obviously really struggled, and that's tricky for me because I was super excited for Prey. And I bought that game, and for the first week, I thought I loved it, and then I turned out to really not enjoy it. But I do know it, like a lot of people really liked it, and some people maybe didn't as much. But with Wolfenstein, unless I'm wrong, I think like it's mostly getting praised as a really good game. On top of the no multiplayer and microtransaction stuff, apparently it's really great. So like I just hope it doesn't suffer that same fate, you know, for all the reasons we said. And OJ, you nailed it. Like, I don't want EA and companies that do that stuff to feel validated with everything they're trying to do and be like, well, see, Wolfenstein didn't sell, so here come the loot boxes. Like that.
We feel your pain, Chad. I know. Sean definitely does. Says too many games are out in the wrong way.
Because Star Wars is going to crush like all of these.
Oh yeah,
it will.
You know what I'm saying? Like and like Battlefield probably is going to crush or already crushed all of these games and stuff. So I mean, EA. something in the back of my head tells me EA is going to be validated. They're going to feel validated for what they're doing because they can look at Battlefield and be like, "Oh, Battlefield destroyed Wolfenstein. It destroyed Prey. It destroyed all these other games." But then you can look at something like Skyrim. When it's done really well, Skyrim sold way more than all those games. I don't think any game's going to sell as much as Skyrim. Like any of the modern games are sell as much as that game sold. So it just depends, man. It's weird.
It is worrying.
Do you guys think Wolfenstein should have had an online multiplayer component? Even though they said that they wanted to focus on the story and all that stuff. Like, to me, releasing a first-person shooter in 2017 with no multiplayer component, like, if you're doing something, unique in it, maybe different mechanics where it's not strictly a first-person shooter, but like that's what Wolfenstein is. It's a first-person shooter. Like I remember playing, Wolfenstein 3D on crappy computers, multiplayer. Like I don't know, that seemed like a strange decision to me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, they could add it later. Technically, if they really wanted to. This would have been great if Max was on here because he actually played all the way through the game. He actually reviewed it on his channel.
Oh yeah.
Everyone says that it doesn't need it though. Everyone says it doesn't. It's amazing and it doesn't need it. We have 1 million multiplayer shooters though. Like that's what everyone's saying is that we have 1 million multiplayer shooters. This one has great story. I watched Max's review. I've seen other people's review. It seems like it's something that's cool that a game focuses on that. I mean, although I do feel that maybe like some co-op would have been nice.
Because the trick is, what did they do to, I guess, counterbalance that? Because multiplayer in first-person shooters has always been, in essence, a way to add a replayability function to it to try to keep you in the title, keep you thinking about the title. And if you remove that and just have a basic story go through, I mean, where's the replayability? Do you run it on just a harder difficulty? Do the levels randomize what you're about to fight?
Or different modes or something?
There has to be that extra layer to keep you in it and keep you talking about it.
Well, that's why I think it's like, Sean, what you said is interesting because while I love the fact there's no multiplayer, you're right, because it's weird. It's really just that it's weird that they made that choice because it is 2017. You got a shooter with bullets. Why did they choose to do it?
Like,
it's neat.
I don't like when to me there are certain games, and this is just my opinion. To me, there's certain games that need to have some sort of online aspect. It could be as simple as something as leaderboards or co-op or something. But to me, it's like releasing a racing game or a first-person shooter game in 2017 that does not have any sort of online or component or multiplayer component is foolish. Because like I don't know, like it just doesn't seem right. It doesn't feel right to me because those are two genres that are very dependent on a cooperative experience or a multiplayer experience. Best lap times, or you even have online aspects in Super Mario Odyssey with some of the mini games involved. Like I don't know, like I'm still gonna get Wolfenstein when it comes out on the Switch. Just because, it's another interesting game and I can always play Doom multiplayer. But I don't know. I would have liked to have seen a multiplayer aspect. But
I'm glad that they did opt for the a Switch version because that one they can honestly they'll probably make a lot of money off the Switch version at this rate. And I think they got kind of overshadowed by Assassin's Creed and definitely Mario Odyssey on Friday. Everyone was just talking about Mario Odyssey. So many people.
And that's actually kind of one of my questions. Do any of you guys know with Assassin's Creed how much of an online or multiplayer component is there to that game? Or is that also entirely like a first?
What did they bring back there?
Yeah, I haven't
really
played
bad Assassin's multiplayer.
Yeah, because one of them had a multiplayer mode a couple years ago.
A couple did. It started at one, but like no one really liked it because if you did anything, you'd just be revealed to everyone as an assassin.
It was stupid. I hated the multiplayer for Assassin's Creed. And I really tried to get into it. I was getting into the different characters that you can pick, but it's just this. I mean, it's just a silly multiplayer in my opinion.
So does the new one have any? Because it's like we talk about EA being validated and the whole benefit of the lack of microtransactions, but if Assassin's Creed ended up doing well, does that if there's no multiplayer, does that send that message we want? That hey, look, single player games without loot boxes can.
Well, it does. It does have microtransactions.
It does.
Okay,
Well, then that answer.
And it has online features, but it doesn't have multiplayer.
Yeah, no online multiplayer.
But if there's microtransactions, that's the big problem. So
there's loot boxes like.
And you can buy. Well, you can buy Helix currency with your with actual money in the game too.
I wonder how they balanced it, because there was this one news post, I guess, about an older Assassin's Creed where they had that like microtransaction shop.
That was in Unity also.
Yeah, the guy was like, I'm going to try this out. And he bought like a couple boxes and then literally just tore through a mission, no problem, like a god, just throwing electrical bombs everywhere. It was so brutal.
Oh, man. It's not good. I don't know where Rocket League is. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. Have you heard anything about that, OJ? Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, they said it's still coming out holiday 2017. Everything's on track as far as from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Payday.
Payday might be a 2018 game. It might be. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, they say
winter.
Fine. Yeah, it's fine. Winter is such a like broad term. But I was hoping Rocket League would be here by the end of November, but it might be a December game.
I've been kind of putting my money on December, and honestly, like I hope they do it in December. No one else at all should put any more games in November for any console. Like we're good. Don't do it. December. Yes. You got 3 weeks in December before Christmas Day. You got a lot of time. Leave November alone, please.
Yes. Yeah, and now the Switch has over 200 games now, right? It's 202. 200.
Sweet.
Let me see.
Over 200 games. I think Nintendo of Europe shared like a post about that. They have over 200 games on there. So
a lot of games are
pretty
on
incredible.
Right now.
Yeah. That eShop, man. They've been really good
supposed to show up. I forgot about that. Ukulele's supposed to show up at some point.
I haven't even played it, but like my desire like diminishes every day for that game. It's just like
I've played it. I have it on the PS4. The problem is now that Mario Odyssey is out, Mario Odyssey is a significantly better version of Ukulele. Yeah, is what I'm going to tell you.
It's too bad, man. I've been so excited for Yuka darn Lele, man. I really wanted to believe on the Switch version. I even got contacted and was told I would even be able to get a review copy. It might be the first review copy I ever even get for the Switch. So I'm excited for that game, but you make a really good point. It's post Mario. Like, what were you thinking waiting for after this game? So I'm really nervous about it too.
I can answer a little bit of that. So basically what's happening is that the version of Unity that they use, Unity in general on the Switch is pretty junky right now. Like they're still having some issues with it. This is the same reason why Lost Sphere, I Am Setsuna, a lot of these games are 30 frames per second when they have no business being 30 frames per second. They should be 60. They're not. They're 30 because of Unity. Battle Chasers Night War, that also got delayed because they needed an update to Unity. So that's really the issue what's going on with Ukulele, with any of these games made with Unity for the most part. I mean, we saw what happened with Bomberman as well. That was pretty junky at launch. And they had to fix around a lot of different things to fix that game as well. So Unity's having some issues, but Nintendo's working with them to help get Unity better, but it's probably just going to take a little bit more. So they're waiting on some updates for Ukulele and also for Battle Chasers as well.
Yes, that's gonna. But I mean, Ukulele will probably. I would like to assume is out before the end of the year. Like to assume.
I would hope.
Yeah, like I said, if it came out before Mario Odyssey, they would have been in a much better position than they are right now. Because there's no, if you're going to spend what I assume will be the same retail price of $40 as it was when it first came out, spend the extra $20 and get Mario Odyssey. Seriously, it's just a much better version of Ukulele by a lot.
I've played the game. I got a review copy for Xbox One, and well, it was okay. It was good. I had fun playing it. Mario Odyssey absolutely kills it. It just absolutely destroys it in every single, like, there's not a single way that it does it. So it's, like you said, it's going to be tough, but it's not a horrible game by any means. And if you're looking for more of a Banjo-Kazooie style game, I guess, then, maybe.
Well, that's why I wonder if there was a way to make that work well on the Switch would be if it maybe didn't release so soon after Mario, and if they waited a couple of months, like February, March time, when a lot of people have already kind of completed Mario, maybe they can sort of capture those people who are like, oh, I beat Mario and I'm sad it's over. I want the next cool Mario-like thing. And then here comes Ukulele, and maybe people are more willing to just kind of buy into it because it's kind of similar, and they still want a new game to play that's like Mario.
That's a good idea. If they sneak
maybe
into February, there might not be a lot there. When it's coming out, like it is now. November's packed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, maybe 2017 isn't a good time for that game, and it really should be then. So
yeah. I think that's a good idea. I think.
I don't mind. Like when Runner 3, I mean, I'm a huge BitChip Runner fan. Like it's it was one of my most anticipated games. When they delayed it to 2018, everyone was flooding me with messages saying, "Oh, your game got delayed." I'm like, good.
Right.
Good. Get it out of 2017. Get it out. Good. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to that game. Like I'm really looking forward to Runner 3. So.
Yeah, you've actually made me excited for that game, OJ. I have to say, like, it was never on my radar, and whatever first time they had an Indies thing and showed it, and you made like a bunch of videos like totally excited and showing all this footage, I was like, whoa, that does look good. And OJ's excitement is making me excited. So now I'm pretty much, it'll be my first Runner game, but I'm totally into it because like you kind of pumped it up like really well. So I'm
they're so good. They're so good. Runner 2 is amazing. The BitChip Runner series, these were like Nintendo dudes. These were like the original Nintendo indie developers back in the day, like with WiiWare. Okay, so like this is when they got like this is when they really started.
They go way back.
Seeds. Yeah, they go way back with WiiWare. That's where I first played it. But it used to be like retro, complete like 8-bit-ish style, and it's completely evolved from what it used to be. So it's looking better than ever right now. So I'm excited, but it can wait till 2018. I'm fine. So
there were some people in the chat real quick that were asking what happened to Philip. I talked about this.
He did.
Did I? Yeah. Philip will actually be on IGN's. He'll be running IGN's Nintendo podcast next week. So next week on Nintendo Voice Chat, I think.
Oh, he'll be on next week's episode?
He's co-starring. He's not actually hosting this one yet. It's the transfer episode.
Probably has to get leaned into it,
yeah. Yeah, he'll be on it though. They actually name dropped him in the last one. So awesome. He'll be in the next one, I think, with all the standards. Pierre Schneider and Brian
Altano.
There you go. Yeah. He'll be on there with them from what I could tell. So check out, I guess, their podcast or video cast next week, and you'll be able to see him on there. So he's actually in San Francisco now, though. So actually, I think
crazy.
I think he traveled yesterday. So
good for him.
He said he'd still come on the podcast on the SpawnCast now and then. So you'll still see him pop up now and then.
Nice. I wonder if he's allowed to. Are there like IGN overlords that are like, you do not share podcasts?
Actually, someone asked Pierre on Twitter, and he said, yeah, he could still come over.
Oh, cool.
He actually compared SpawnCast to Kind of Funny, so there you go.
Oh, nice.
Wow. They've laxed their rules when it comes to these things over the years. Before it used to be like, hell no. Back like when Greg Miller and all them left, it was like, no, you can't talk about games on your own. You can't, like, there was all sorts of rules.
Yeah, see, I wondered about that. I have to say, it probably sounds cheesy, but honestly, IGN's podcasts, when I discovered those in like 2011 or 2010 or whatever, like Beyond and GameScoop, that's how I got into podcasts. I mean, any kind of podcast. I was like, this is great. They just BS for a couple of hours about video games. Oh my God. So it's like, seriously, that introduced me to the whole world of it. So
yeah, it's good to listen to. Like if you have like long commutes, that's usually when I listen to podcasts, or if I'm at the gym. Usually I'll listen to podcasts when I'm like on the treadmill and just bored out of my mind.
Running on the treadmill is the most boring thing ever, and I do it all the time too. Yep. So you gotta listen to something. I got into you guys remember Screw Attack back when it was actually like a real website and everything? I used to listen to side scrollers. That's kind of what got me into that. They started doing that, I think, like in 2008 or 2007, something like that. So that's where I kind of got into it. And also, like, Matt Casamassina, old school IGN as well. So.
Oh, yeah, the first Nintendo voice chat. I remember when they started it with Bozon, right? Wasn't it Casamassina?
Yeah, that was a long time. So that was God tier, though, man. They had, the great podcast back then, man.
Well, this is a question, I think, for you, OJ. Robert Reed asked, what happened to Escapist 2? Does anyone know?
What is it? What's an Escapist? What is that?
Escapist 2.
Isn't it a website? Like Escapist, like where Yahtzee was?
Website?
Is that what he means?
Is that what
There's a game called Escapist.
Yeah, there's a game.
Oh.
Yeah, the Escapist 2. It's coming on the Nintendo Switch.
Never mind.
PS4. It's the one where you escape from prison. It's like a kind of
wasn't that the EA game?
No,
it's pseudo indie Team 17.
Team 17 made it. Yeah. It's been on this. It's on Steam already, right? Yeah, you can buy it on Steam. Because I remember they talked about the Escapist going to the Switch as well, and we haven't really heard anything about it. I don't think since then.
It's just joining the ranks of all the games
shows
that should come.
Yeah, because a lot of the indie games that are on Steam are coming over to the Switch because apparently it's super easy to transition over. Let me see. I don't think we have a release date for it though. It said okay, so Xbox One, PS4 were released over the summer, and we're just waiting on the Switch still. But the thing about these indie games, I'm telling you, they'll pop up out of nowhere. Like Stardew Valley was announced, and then it came out like 2 days later, right, for the release date. It was like, oh, it's coming out in 2 days. So yeah, it could just pop up and say it's coming out on Friday, and you look down and it's Wednesday.
And it's even going to get better going forward, guys. I can't say too much, but there's definitely going to be more like different stuff coming when it comes to indie titles coming to the Switch and what developers can do. So it's even going to get better.
Payday. Someone has said Payday went MIA. They actually did a video the other day talking about Payday 2 coming this winter. So it's still happening. They actually showed.
Yeah, I think it just got confirmed. Yeah, reconfirmed.
Yeah. They showed like handheld. They didn't show any direct feed from their like most recent one, but they showed it in handheld mode, and it seemed to be running normally and everything. So it's on the way. We're not sure if it's going to fall into 2017. It might end up being a 2018 game. Might get pushed just because they said winter. So, and really, there's no need to bring it out in November or December at this point.
You should check out the comments.
I'm still bitter about Fire Emblem Warriors, man. I want to pick that game up so badly, but I don't have any reason to right now.
Yeah,
so
and we're good
on games.
Odyssey just like overtook everything. Like I'm telling you, everyone on Twitter is posting pictures of everything they're doing in the game. So it's impossible right now. Mario Odyssey is just too good, and it's tough because now that I'm done Odyssey, I'll still play it some, but now I got to move to Assassin's Creed while I do my review for Odyssey. So it's like, and then I guess Wolfenstein. Yeah, I guess Wolfenstein's next. I don't know, but. It's interesting. So we have a lot of. Did you guys see any of the financials that came out for Microsoft?
Yeah, I did.
You did? Okay, yeah, because it was. OJ, did you see any of them at all?
I took a quick glance, but I really stopped following it just because I know they blended their divisions, right? Like Microsoft's, all of their divisions are kind of blended in. So I just kind of really stopped paying attention when they started doing.
Well, they actually they separated it this time, which was very interesting. So they separated gaming, Windows, and everything else. Now Microsoft as a company is doing well, like you'd expect. They're still a very rich company. They still make a lot of money, but gaming was actually stagnant completely from last year. It didn't rise at all. In fact, the only thing that really did, which is what they want to rise, was software and services. The revenue grew 21%, which is due to their Xbox Live members jumping up to 53 million, which is 13% growth. However, because of their hardware revenue declined heavily. And I read through like the statements they put out, and it's kind of buried in there. But basically it offsets. So you hear about revenue for software and stuff raised 21%, but they come out the other end with a 0% raise, and that's because revenue for hardware fell 48%.
I'm shocked
from this quarter to last quarter. But
it's a big drop too.
One thing is, they're comparing it to the quarter that had the Xbox One S launch, but I feel like there is some issues right now with their Xbox, mostly because I think they've essentially sacrificed what seems to be almost an entire year for this Xbox One X. As soon as they announced it, everyone was, I feel like, kind of like on the fence about buying an S or an Xbox One, because in their mind, they're like, well, let me see what either this thing is, or let me just save up money over the next year and buy the better systems. They seem to have we didn't see the Xbox One at all take any MPDs, right? None.
No.
Zero.
Okay.
Yeah, it hasn't taken an MPD in a while. If anything,
it's been a long time. It's been a while. I'm pretty sure they did take one or two.
This year?
No, not this year. I'm talking about like 2015.
Oh yeah, they've taken MPDs before. Like I think they probably took an MPD last year at some point, maybe once or.
But in the world with the Switch existing, there were times where it fell out of the top 3 completely.
Yeah.
3DS took the 3rd spot sometimes.
Yeah. The 3DS had software this year, so I can see why maybe. And I mean,
that really makes a difference. Having
it had
games
a
makes a difference.
fat price drop to 150. You know, you have the 2DS XL. That thing's awesome. If you don't care about 3D, you just go ahead and pick that up, you know. So that thing's pretty cool. They had like Metroid, they had all sorts of stuff, you know. So Xbox just didn't have, I mean, their games got canceled, you know, Fable and
you realize there's a chance that they're going to fall out of the MPDs in November, which sounds crazy because obviously the X is launching. However, based on some estimates I'm seeing, and it seems like, strangely enough, Michael Pachter actually agrees with me on it, but the X is not going to ship as many as you'd think because of how expensive it is. There's a lot of people, like, do you remember how people were really excited about Amazon having a like they were talking about how it was the most pre-ordered Xbox or whatever in history, and then Michael Pachter gets a lot of hate because he starts poking holes in that statement, and then it comes out that he was correct, that it's not as many as you think.
Yeah, I saw him break that down. It was really interesting to get an idea of like where Microsoft kind of fudged those numbers into like truth, but also really not truth.
Yeah, so it's
pretty interesting.
It's concerning, and that's the same month that Pokemon comes out, right? Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. So if you don't remember this, last year, when we had Pokemon and the 3DS and everything, it was impossible to find a 3DS because they sold out constantly. So I had this thought that what if the X comes out and not only does it not top the MPDs, what if it's not even the top 3?
It's not going to top. There's no way in hell.
There are a lot of people who are predicting it topping the MPDs. Well, the Xbox brand in general, just because of the X.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that would be tough. It would be tough to top the NPD because you need, I mean, that's fine if you have a great hardware, right? But you need software. You need exclusive software to also top NPD. You can't just top NPD just because you have a new piece of hardware.
It seems like Microsoft is pushing it as the third-party system. Like, if you want Battlefield or if you want Call of Duty to look as good as possible, buy this system.
Coming off of E3, I totally agree with that. But the way they really showcased it at E3, that's what it felt like to me. The ultimate third-party experience is on the X kind of thing.
I keep seeing a commercial when I watch my Sling TV for the Xbox One X, and they show it says world's most powerful system, and they show like a little snippet of Forza, they show a little snippet of Madden, they show a little snippet of Minecraft because Minecraft in 4K is necessary. And then they go back to Madden. And then that's the whole commercial. And I'm like,
yeah.
Excuse me?
And?
Excuse me? Like,
here's the thing. But Phil Spencer, he's not the one who's saying, oh, this is the most pre-ordered and hyping that up. He's made many interviews saying like, we know like the Xbox One X is not going to sell as much. We know that the Xbox One S is going to be the thing that sells. So even Microsoft can say whatever they want. Phil Spencer's been telling the truth.
Yeah, he is straight to the point about that.
Yeah, like he's been telling the truth about the system, and and he's just running it efficiently as he can. I think what he's saying is that Microsoft just doesn't have the horses to really compete when it comes
Universal
to
Juan says great squad tonight. Thank you Juan. I think the issue and there was another piece of info that came out that was a little interesting. Apparently, or you guys remember Sunset Overdrive, I assume, because it was it was a very unique game on the Xbox One, and it was a game. It's a game that they have still not brought to PC, which is odd because they had this massive initiative to do that. But Insomniac put out on Twitter that they are ready to make it. They just need a publisher.
They need a publisher. Yeah, I saw that.
Yes. What? Like, how did Microsoft not go? Yeah, let's do it.
Apparently, the game didn't sell as well as it should have sold.
I get that, but they're developing Super Lucky's Tale.
Yeah.
Why? Like,
it's in 4K. Can you stop it? It's in 4K. Come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm probably going to buy that game and play it. But like Sunset Overdrive, man, that's a game that
I think that they're underestimating maybe that game because of the poor sales, because the reception was really strong. It sounds like most or all of us played it, and we all know that was a really, really good game.
It was a cool game.
That's actually when I decided to buy my Xbox One, was when it came out.
Sure, but like there aren't that many back then. You could probably attest this, Rob, because you just bought an Xbox. There weren't the audience that they have now. Maybe back then they had maybe 10 to 15 million Xbox Ones. They've definitely doubled in size since then.
Oh, for sure.
And,
They have a market. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's they want it. They keep talking about having these. I don't want to say these dude bro shooters, but they keep talking about not having your typical shooter and stuff on there. And here's Sunset Overdrive, which is probably a game that looks like it would be on Nintendo system. Like it's super colorful and cartoony. And it's right there. They could throw money at Insomniac.
It airs a little bit more on the mature side than for Nintendo stuff, but I still don't think it would be impossible to see it on a Nintendo console. And I just wonder if it more is like a showcase as to how Microsoft might just be really confused on the games thing. They seem really into the hardware. We're going to make an Xbox, and then we're going to make a One S because it's a little bit better, and then we're going to put all of our chips into the One X. And not really marketed a whole lot, at least not that I've seen. I haven't seen a whole big push like the way Sony has done with the PS4 through the years. And everyone who talks in the community and in social media about games and what's happening, everyone is really aware that Microsoft can't get games figured out, actual software. They couldn't even get Crackdown available to sell the One X when the One X was going to launch.
Yeah.
They have nothing to push the One X other than that it's just there.
I was absolutely positive that game was going to launch with the X.
Oh, me too. During the Scorpio days, I was really big. I talked about the Scorpio quite a bit because I was excited to see if Microsoft could make a really kick-ass new system. And I was very much in the belief that they're going to push this as something that could be next gen in a couple of years, and they're going to have a first-party software to move this thing when it launched. And for a while, that was the plan. Actually, that's because Crackdown was going to be that. But all the ducks are just not in a row. It seems like for Microsoft and the software front. So they're going to push the One X out there and just hope that it sells. And I don't want it to fail, but I don't think it's going to sell.
Chad makes a good point here in his post, saying that third parties probably won't be super inclined to work with the X because of the small user base. Because keep in mind, Microsoft is essentially having these companies build 4K patches. It's not like you're going to pop the disc in and it's just going to magically work. There has to be a patch of some kind there ready to go. And he does make a good point in the way he was writing it here that the developers need, I remember originally the Witcher team wasn't going to do it. And then somehow they all of a sudden did it. And that's probably because Microsoft was like, listen, we'll pay for the cost for you guys to make this patch. There's no word that happened. I have a feeling that happened, though. So Microsoft's, at this point, more than likely paying out for these 4K patches rather than possibly paying out for development. It's such a weird situation right now.
They don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. When you look at the Xbox and the original Xbox, you had first party titles from companies like Rare. You had exclusives, excuse me. You had games from Rare. Rare was a first party. You had a lot of Sega exclusives on there as well, because essentially Sega, treated it sort of like the Dreamcast too. The Xbox 360 had the benefit of exclusives because it sold really well. It had a great online infrastructure. And for whatever reason, they managed to market that system much better than the PS3 was initially marketed. And of course, it was cheaper than the PS3. So companies gravitated towards that system because it was selling well. But now with the Xbox One, it's not selling that well. It hasn't been selling that well. So they don't have the benefit of companies like Sega, making games for it, giving them exclusives. There's besides like Gears of War, Halo, Sunset Overdrive, and Quantum Break, all awesome games, but that's literally 4 games. It's crazy to me. It's
Quantum Break's on the PC now too.
Well, yeah, and I mean most of these games you can play on the PC.
Gears, I saw there's an interesting question. Maybe you can help me with this one, OJ. It says, when can you discuss the possibility of Nintendo dropping the NDS range long term?
Nintendo, the 3DS?
I assume that's what they're saying. I guess then just dropping the 3DS long term.
Oh.
Is that what they're making mention of?
They're not, guys. There's multiple reasons. I think he's talking about the 3DS, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the Nintendo DS.
Okay, that's not gonna happen. Here's a couple of reasons why. Because Nintendo is selling this ancient piece of hardware for $150 to $199. They're making ridiculous amounts of profit on it.
They don't even give you the charger with the $200 model.
Yeah. I mean, why? They're selling software they're selling sub 360p software for $40 a pop. You would be an idiot. If you're running a business, you would be an absolute idiot to drop that product and just say, we're going to drop it just because. Well, why?
It does seem like they're dropping. It does seem like the Pokemon team is moving on.
The Pokemon team is moving on the main team, but they can always do Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Pokemon Rumble.
Yeah.
You know, they can always do. What I'm saying is that all of Nintendo's main teams have already moved on. Guys,
Right.
It's all of Nintendo's like Fire Emblem, the Intelligent Systems, Next Level Games, Retro Studios. All of Nintendo's main teams have already moved on. Nintendo is getting dudes like Grezzo, getting stuff like Professor Layton, getting these third parties that they're working with in order to make them, or getting younger staff to make these other 3DS games. None of the main teams are making any 3DS games anymore. So you don't have to worry about not getting the next Fire Emblem because that was only on 3DS, right? No, the next Fire Emblem is coming to the Switch. And here's the thing: the last Fire Emblem game, Echoes, wasn't even made by the main team. It was made by younger developers and other staff members, like a team of like 30 or 40 people. So that's really what's going to happen. They're going to put together some young people, some new people they're bringing in. They're going to make 3DS games. All the main dudes are going to be making all the games that you guys love. So there's no reason to drop the 3DS at all. Let these guys get experience building on one platform. They need to, work their way up, and then they'll make a Switch game when they're ready, and they bring new people in. It's a very simple thing, and Nintendo would be dumb to just drop the 3DS. It's going to stay around for at least another, I would say, 2 to 3 years. The 3DS is going to be around.
This is a good question from Coloco, asking, would you want DLC in Odyssey, and if so, what would you like to see? That's a good question.
I just started playing. I still need to get through everything, so
I haven't beat it, but I want more. So I wouldn't be against it. Maybe like, but I don't know. Like, would you add new worlds and stuff like that?
I feel like that's what you could do.
Yeah,
just like new worlds, right?
Well,
new costumes and things.
New challenges in the worlds that already exist would be an alternative, but probably the best bet would be new worlds, just because it feels a little more fresh. The tile set and the textures would all be different.
But they could also like because I think everybody compares it to Super Mario 64. And there is a call to Mario 64 somewhere in the game. I don't want to ruin it to anybody, but you do eventually run into a callback.
Super, super exciting. Yeah. I've seen it. Oh my gosh, I need
Stop it! I've avoided all spoilers.
Towards the end of the game.
Never mind.
But wouldn't it? I think it'd be cool if they took a world from Mario 64 and actually rebuilt it in Mario Odyssey as like something you could buy, and then they have moons hiding in it and stuff. Kind of.
Yeah. Am I losing my mind? Didn't that happen in a Mario game recently where they had one of the 64 levels in it? Did that not happen in something? Was it Galaxy 2? Maybe someone in the chat could.
Did they?
Wasn't there a straight up Mario? Like they took the same map. It was like the vertical thing with all the Thwomp guys, where they basically did that. But I mean, either way, the point is, I do for that reason. Like, I agree with you. I think that'd be cool to do like 64 or even Galaxy or even Sunshine theme, like small DLC maps. I think that would be, because then you get the new stuff.
Mario Galaxy 2,
throwback, yes.
Throwback Galaxy. Yeah, Throwback Galaxy.
All right, I wasn't crazy. That's good to know because I was a little bit worried for a sec.
But they've already done it.
Oh, actually, you know what? Oh, see, I can't talk to any of you guys about the end of the game because none of you have got there yet.
You should probably avoid it anyway during the cast.
You should.
How many people are watching?
Yeah,
that's true. It's been out for like 24 hours. So.
It's too late.
Old news is old.
Sean Ryan brings up the point I think everybody here has made. I'd have an Xbox if it had exclusive games.
I mean, I always wanted an Xbox One S, and I got very lucky. I was eventually going to buy one to play Sunset Overdrive, Quantum Break, because I don't play stuff on my PC. But like, even as an owner of the Xbox One now, like I haven't beat Quantum Break, but I've gotten pretty far in it. I've played a good bit of Sunset Overdrive. I played a good bit of Gears 4, and it's like, what else do I have to look forward to here? Like, I still need to get the Master Chief Collection and stuff.
I think Forza's like the big thing they ride on, is what it seems like. That's their biggest appealing exclusive.
Which is weird because I never thought Forza was better than Gran Turismo. Like, I used to love simulation racing games. Like, I had so here's just a weird story. In high school, I let this friend of mine borrow some GameCube games, and he never gave them back to me.
Yep.
And so, like a couple years ago, we were playing Gran Turismo, I guess it was 5 on the PS3 whichever one released on the PS3. And he was like, "Oh, dude, I got this steering wheel for the PS3. It works with the PS3 and PC. I'll let you borrow it." And I was like, "Okay," because I had like a cheaper steering wheel. This was like a $250 steering wheel, and I kept that thing forever and forever and ever and ever. And like he would always ask to borrow it, and I'd be like, "No, you can't have it back yet. I'm not done with it yet." But like I always preferred Gran Turismo over Forza. But I don't know. Like Forza's cool, but I mean, do you really want to bank on a simulation racing game to be your bread and butter? Like, it just seems weird.
I mean, they're bringing cars on stages at E3, so they seem really into it. I'm with you. It's not really that big of a deal to me, but I mean, unless I'm missing something, it seems like that's the game series that they ride publicly in all their marketing. You know,
I mean, Forza Horizon is probably their best series. That's actually a really fun game too if you haven't played it.
I'm sure they're good.
It's a series. It's more arcadey. Like that's the game that has the Hot Wheels track in it.
Yeah, that's my jam.
Awesome.
That's more my jam than simulation. I drive every day to work in traffic. I don't need to do it in a video game.
Yeah.
Give me the arcadey stuff.
You know what the thing is? When I was a kid, I think it was more cool because you didn't drive. You know what I'm saying? Like you weren't driving. When I was a kid, I loved simulation racing. I was like, man, these cars are cool. I can drive. Like, you know, before I used to drive a lot, and now I'm just like screw driving. I don't drive at all anymore. Well, I do, but very, very small, like very small.
Well, that's what happens. That's what happens when you work at home, like you and I do.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I have another job where I have to go train at the gym too. But I mean, I live very close to the gym, so it's like 5 minutes away.
Yeah, that's how far it is for me. I go there in the morning pretty much every day during the week. But otherwise, I just sit around at home, so I have to get out or something.
90% of the time, I'm right here in this seat.
Yeah.
Sitting down, so yeah.
But we do have just so everyone knows, we have Nintendo's financial briefing on the 30th. That's Monday. I don't know what time they release it in Japan because I always get mixed up between like my time zone and Japan. I guess just sometime during Monday it should just pop up on their website. And we'll know exactly how many Switch units they have sold up until, I want to say September.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wish Kimishima would just like go up like in front of the investors and be like, tap the mic, "We are making money, bitches," and then just walk away.
A lot of money, but
knocks the mic over and just walks out.
I think Evan, we've done that, right? We've asked everybody who's come on here how much they think it's going to be revealed on Monday.
On Monday, yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So I think right now they have 4.7 million. That was through. Oh, that would have been through June.
The number specifically for the Galaxy sales, yeah.
Well, I was asking for a Switch, what they're going to reveal on Monday. Did we do that or no?
No, I think we were just doing the over-under on the Mario sales after the first week.
Yeah, we only did Mario.
What do you guys think they're going to reveal for the Switch? They're at 4.7 million through, I believe that's through June. So this should be the other 3 months, July, August, September, mashed into that 4.7 million.
I'm thinking maybe somewhere 5.9. Maybe want to go up to 6.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
I'm going higher than that.
I hope it's higher.
I'm gonna say 7.5.
7.5. Okay. What about you, OJ?
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards the 7-ish range, just because.
Okay.
5.9. That'd be a 1 million, about 1 million more. And I think
that's from June to September, right? Is that the?
Yes. What big releases? I mean, what we have?
Splatoon
2.
Yeah. Splatoon came out in August. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
It did really well. It boosted sales really well in Japan.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm thinking 7. I mean,
I've seen some people with Ahmed on Twitter, one of the guys I talk to now and then, has upwards of 8 million is what he's thinking.
The guy that's the security analyst for Nyko or something?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah,
he's between 7.5 and 8 million. I actually said it'd probably be between 7 and 7.5 million is what I'm thinking. Somewhere in there.
7 plus million.
Yeah, because that'll put him on track to actually get very close to the Wii U sales in this calendar year, which would not even be its first full year on the market.
First full year,
yeah.
See, it's tricky though, because I think, and obviously you guys could be right, I'm lowballing it here, and I would love for it to be that high. But I think about just the gap in time from June to September. That's also before Mario Odyssey launched. And I know that, we know that for Odyssey is when they started pushing a lot more Switches into stores. Throughout that time, I do know that was, I think, when they were still a little bit more rare and harder to find. So I hope that doesn't hold it down. I want to be wrong here. I guess I'll stick with 6. But I do think that the stock issue was something, and they weren't really making them as readily available until the last couple of weeks with the push to Mario Odyssey and making sure people could get them there. So,
well, I will say I keep seeing people posting pictures on Twitter now. It does look like that they massively stocked stores for Mario Odyssey. Dave put a picture up, and it was a ton of units with Mario Odyssey bundles. So they definitely came to the table with some Switch units. They did not show up without stock, which is good because that's when you need it.
Good, smart.
My Best Buy had around 70 Switches, and there was at least 40 people in line getting one.
Wow. Yeah, you're going to see Media Creates on Wednesday. Look at that when that comes out, because that's going to be very interesting to see in Japan.
Because that's where they're having the most issue is Japan. Japan is the area where they're having the biggest
That's
problems.
The lottery area. That's where
that's the lottery line area where people have to literally wait just for a chance to buy one. I mean, thousands, 5,000, 6,000 people waiting in these all across Japan in certain areas. So that's where they're having the biggest problem. You don't have to do that here. You don't have to do that in Europe. You can just wait for the restock and you can go pick one up. We saw the 49ers, that's the only thing they won all year was a Switch.
Yeah.
That's the only good thing that's happened all year for them is that they got
Switches. Busy buying Switches rather than completing passes.
So they were able to walk into Target and get 7 Switches, no problem. So
I'm surprised they sold it to them, those bums.
Should have gave him something else instead. Should have gave him
an Xbox.
An N-Gage. Should have given him some N-Gages that had left over or something, man. Those bums can't score a touchdown.
The N-Gage.
Oh man. We do have we have financials from Sony coming on the 31st of the day after Halloween. They'll release theirs as well. They're expecting some solid growth also. But at this point, I do think the Switch is going to come up on half of the PS4 sales probably in Japan in its first year on the market, its first full year, which would be the 3rd of March there in Japan, because it's already coming up on 2 million and the PS4 is at 5.3 or 5.4 million, I think. So it's chasing the PS4 down at this point.
That's just a product of Nintendo knowing how to cater to their own market, to their home market.
I mean,
That's
Japan
exactly what they did.
Japan's always been a Nintendo country. So
Nintendo and portable. It's just a perfect little storm of awesomeness, and they just knew what they were doing there.
The 3DS actually has already outsold the PS2 in Japan, and that's always been the highest selling home console. And it outsold it months ago. The 3DS outsold the PS2. So portables is definitely and obviously the DS sold ridiculous amounts in Japan. I don't know if the 3DS will catch that, or I don't know if the Switch will, but if it did, it'd be great.
And then we have Sony has Paris Games Week. Did you guys see this? That's coming Monday.
Yes. Very excited.
Monday. Some stream is happening.
7 new games or something?
7 new games. They're going to show 21 games. 7 of them we have not heard about. The others are all games we know about, but they could still be things like we could see another level from Spider-Man, for example. We could see some stuff about God of War, Days Gone. I mean, there's a lot of stuff they can show us, but those 7 new games are what's really interesting to me because, well, one, they talked about VR too. I assume maybe it's me half and half, maybe 4 and 3. I don't really know what they're going to put with VR to actually make that do better. VR is kind of stagnant right now. It's just they've even dropped the price and it's still just selling okay.
I mean, that happened pretty quick after PSVR even launched, right? I mean, leading up to PSVR launching, I remember just in general the VR talk was pretty common, and it was divisive. A lot of people were either for it or against it, but in general people were like PSVR, HTC Vive, all of these things, Oculus, the VR zeitgeist was happening. PSVR came out and a lot of people were like, it's okay, and some people said it was sold out and some people said it wasn't. But then, like you said, I don't feel like it took too long before it felt like the whole conversation just kind of subsided, and we weren't hearing about sales, and we weren't seeing a lot of games. Although, to Sony's credit, they did have a lot of VR stuff at E3, which I did not expect at all.
They did say that they did cross the 1 million mark for headsets sold. So they have sold 1 million of them, but for I mean, the install base is pretty high on the PS4. It's almost 65 million if it's not there yet. So you figure you'd sell a little more than 1 million, although to be fair, the headset is more expensive than the actual system is, that's a tough sell. But it's tough right now. Until VR starts getting cheaper, it's going to be really hard to sell it in large quantities, I think.
I think cheaper and simpler, because what I hear about PSVR is that it's just a wire catastrophe.
It is.
And
I
think it needs even 2 outlets. I think like it's got its own power brick, and then
it has that booster
something
box.
else.
Yeah.
So it's like not to mention everything going in and out of your PS4 and your TV for it or whatever. So it's just too cumbersome, man.
I personally think that like it just looks stupid on people when you're seeing someone play VR. They just look like idiots. Like if someone is like a cool type of gamer, right? Like they're not gonna have their friend,
cool guy, gamer guy.
Yeah, the cool bro. Dude. He's not gonna. Hey guys, let me look around and do this. Like,
hey, you want to see this game? Oh wait, you can't.
You just look so stupid playing VR. I mean, I've played VR. You look like an idiot. My sister recorded me and I looked stupid. I think that was the last. Not that I care about how I look when I play games, but man, it's just it looks ridiculous. So socially, VR is awkward. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it has a negative stigma attached to it because you're strapping this thing to your head. You know what I'm saying? Like you're strapping this thing to your head. So I don't see it doing more than just like with the core, like really hardcore people that want to get into that. But for me, I don't want to strap anything to my eyes that close and play. I refuse to do. After I played VR, I played it at E3. I've played it at a couple different places, and I'm like, I'm done with this. I don't want something that close to my eyes. I don't need to experience games like this. Now, if HoloLens ever gets to be something to where that's like games can do that, I'd be a little bit more interested in HoloLens. But that's still far off.
Yeah, AR has to be one of the only ways to make it more feasible, I think, for a lot of people. It's the closest I get to getting excited about it too, for that same reason. OJ is like, it's not going to block me out from the world. It's not going to make it awkward if I'm gaming and my girlfriend has to come in and ask me something, and I don't have to like disengage from my PlayStation. You're making what for dinner? Okay. I don't want to have to do that.
Problem. That's
the easier thing to swallow. So.
Yo, DNL Spice, thanks for the sponsorship. I think that's our first sponsor, actually. I think we turned those on the other day. So thanks,
awesome.
Sweet Spice. That's very kind. VR though, yes. VR is interesting. I don't know if we'll see anything catch on heavily. I know there's some diehard VR fans right now.
Really?
Oh yeah, there's some. Dude, ask Max.
Yes. Yeah. Seriously, we should be careful. Are you sure that
VR guy?
Is he still around? Like, what happened to him?
No. This is a long story, but Max made a video about why the PSVR, what is it, failed or why it sucks or something like that. Yeah. And he made it, and he had people from YouTube actually calling his house to yell at him.
Whoa. Death threats and
because
VR.
Because he talked about it not being good.
He talked about VR not being good. He
Sometimes
talked about the PlayStation VR.
Yeah, the PlayStation VR.
What the hell is wrong with people?
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, he had to take the video down because it was getting serious, I guess. He could have told you the whole thing. He could have told you all about it. Of course, not on tonight when we bring this up, because Max doesn't like VR that much. But it was no bad. So if you make a video apparently about the PlayStation VR being bad, people will downvote it like crazy, and then they will start calling your house.
Yeah, I refuse. So I made one where I questioned a couple of things, and and that was before it came out, and I saw like some pretty crazy hate, people calling me all sorts of names and stuff. So I was like, I'm never talking about VR again. So that was the last VR video that I made. So
I kind of want to make one now.
Dude,
you should do it.
Like, come. You can come to my house. You can come visit me.
Dude, then we get
you'll regret it.
You might not leave, but you can come.
The other thing, Max, his video actually got viewed a lot, so there's that.
Yeah, it got. I've seen people hate on VR, people praise VR. It gets a lot of views, but there's a really dedicated base of people who just absolutely love VR. Like a really small vocal base of people who just think it's the greatest thing ever, because it's like, some of the stuff that you saw as a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like VR was always that thing, and that it's here, but
yeah. Well, I think we're all like 90s kids, like 80s and 90s kids here. So we remember when like that was the promise of the future, like the ghost in the machine thing, and like VR is going to be so cool. And now it is here, like you said. And I'm so torn on it because I still have never tried it. And I'm very down on it trying to be something that the industry tries to force on us and make the hot new thing, because I just don't believe it ever could be for all the reasons we've discussed. But I do desperately want to try it. Like, I want to put my head in one of those things and just see what it's like, to play like a Resident Evil 4 or like a weird, I don't know, like a roller coaster simulation kind of thing. I'm curious what the technology is like.
If you really want to get one without heavy investment, look at something like the Oculus Go that's coming out early next year. It's $200 and it's a self-contained unit, so there's no wires.
It doesn't need a phone?
Nope, doesn't need anything. It just the headset has the motherboard and everything built in, and it's gonna be $200 with the controller that comes with it. So if you're looking for, I think it's gonna run. I think they said it's gonna run Linux or Android. I think it's Linux, but it's gonna basically be set up similar to like what a phone would run. So things that like the Samsung VR, the Galaxy VR kind of the Gear.
The Galaxy Gear VR.
It'll run similar to that.
Interesting.
Which is pretty crappy VR, guys. Like if you want really good VR to leave, I guess somewhat of a good impression would be the HTC Hive. That's the one to
But
I mean that's kind of what I'd want to try.
But if you get into that, you're going to end up, because you need a pretty good computer to run it well. Yeah. So you're probably looking 800 to 1,000 to the computer, because you're probably looking at like at least a 1070, maybe a 1080.
You got to play it at a trade show. That's where you'd have to play it at some type of trade show or something would be your best bet.
You know, something I saw, actually, I don't remember where I was going, but a couple of months ago, I was in a layover flight going probably from here back home to Denver or something. And I'll never forget this. I didn't have time to stop, but when I was going from my one gate to the other gate, there was this like Facebook kiosk, and it was all Facebook plastered, and they had a couple of people with clipboards, like with Facebook, like visors and stuff on. And they had a bunch of VR sets, and what had to have been Oculus, right? Because they're all partnered together. And they were having people stand on these weird, like futuristic lit up orb kind of things. And there was people that were doing, whoa, and like doing this. And I was like, oh my God, I really want to try that, but I'm going to miss my flight. And I wasn't able to stop and do it. But it was just really interesting to see that in a public setting. And it was like Facebook with VR in an airport, so people could just try it in the airport kind of thing. And it was like, wow, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. I wanted to try it, but I just didn't have time, you know?
So I'm gonna pass something over. First off, guys, we're a little more than halfway through the podcast, and you guys actually already hit the like goal of 300. So good job to everyone in the chat. That actually helps the podcast kind of, I guess, be found or recommended or something, and then it helps everybody with exposures on the podcast. Thanks to everyone who hit the little thumbs up button. But I did want to pass up the over to OJ here, because I saw a video that you made, and you kind of told me on Twitter there's this interesting perception that I saw about Mario Odyssey, and you kind of had to talk about visuals, where I saw some people talk about on Twitter also. They don't want to play Mario Odyssey because it's too cartoony, right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Okay. It's something like that. There's a certain sect of gamers out there, which you come across. Like I said, this is more of a vocal minority, but there's a certain sect of gamers that won't play Mario, that won't give it a chance because of its visuals, because it's not a realistic looking game, because it doesn't look like Uncharted. It doesn't look like that. They associate their age with the look of a game. And this is something, like I said, you can freely see on Twitter. Some of the people in the chat probably know some of the people who do this, which is not, I mean, it's their opinion, right? Everyone's an adult. They make their own opinions. But I always found that funny that like you would associate your age, because I'm 30 and I'm still playing this. And I'm pretty sure I'm an adult for the most part. I mean, I got to pay mortgage. I got to do all the stuff that adults do that old people do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to take care of my kid. I got to do all sorts of stuff. But I've never associated my age with the type of video game that I'm playing. Like, that just sounds like a ridiculous notion to me. It's like if you were to talk to someone who doesn't play games, like, hey, I'm an adult. I don't play. I play shooting games. It would just sound weird. You know what I'm saying? And these are what some of these people are doing. And so that's why I made a video, not because there's a couple things. They're saying that it's nostalgia that's getting people to even like these games or to even like it. And it's because, of my name, Mario. So I had to make a video breaking down why actually the game is good, because believe it or not, some people actually believe these type of things. This is the same type of misinformation and the same type of issues that we had with Wii U, which caused a lot of problems. So, I wanted to make sure that I put something out there and people understand, can be well informed about things. I mean, if you're someone who's 30 or you're 40 or you're 50, you don't need to worry about your age when it comes to video games. I mean, the guys who are making these games, they're 30, 40, and 52, and they play them every day. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you a question, OJ. The people who made these different videos, the opinions and stuff, did they play or enjoy Cuphead?
See, that's the thing. Some of them, no. Cuphead, some of them, no. Some of them, no. They'll not say anything bad about Cuphead. for whatever biases or whatever the case it is. But I don't think they did play it because I've been tracking the sales, so we do know that the game Cuphead over a million units. Steam Spy over 800,000.
A lot of it's Steam, yeah.
So all of it's Steam. This game's $20. It's amazing, and all of it's Steam. Like, so nobody's actually buying the game. I mean, I wouldn't say nobody. I mean, if it's selling a couple 100,000 or whatever the case is on Xbox, that's okay. But for the quality of the game, that just seems a little.
Evan, real quick, a quick aside. Do you know who Rob Liefeld is?
Name sounds familiar.
It looks like he's an American comic book creator. His drawing style is very adult, I guess, like the way they have the characters defined and everything with their muscles and everything. Chad said they should have Mario be drawn like that, and I've seen those on Twitter where people draw Mario like super muscular and like.
Oh yeah, no, this was the guy that a lot of illustrators hate because the way he draws, he makes it over exaggerated to the point where it's just not real.
But this is something, OJ, and the reason when I saw you talk about that, because I asked you on Twitter, I was like, what? I realized I ran across a lot of these people, and Evan I know did too, where they perceive a certain game as a kiddie game, because when we were working in retail video games for like 7 years of our lives, we ran across a lot of people that did not want to play a game because it looked too cartoony. Yeah, it was a very common occurrence.
The straight up relation was always, how real does the game look? That's a more adult game, and that was kind of awkward because then you got games like Shank where you're just ripping people apart and stabbing them up, but it's cartoon animated. Yeah. So like.
But there was a time where somebody came in, and there were quite a few people in the store at the time, and there are some people that come into these kind of stores, and anyone probably in any retail or even, I don't know, like a sub shop or somewhere people come in and hang out. There's always like 2 or 3 customers that have no filter, and they'll just say whatever comes to their mind, like no matter what. And the thing about these retail stores is that people would come in and they would ask recommendations, and I can't remember which game it was. I think it was a cell shaded game. It might have been Crackdown 2, and because they were looking for a game, and I was like, here, check out Crackdown. And he flipped it over. He's like, oh, these are cartoon graphics. I don't play cartoon games, and
I don't play that kind.
He's like, I don't play cartoon games. I'm a little too old for them. I'm adult. And the guy behind him who was looking at, I want to say it was like NES games or something, because we did like a range of them. He basically turned around like in 2 seconds and was like, that might be the most insecure thing I've ever heard anyone say.
Insecurity is exactly what I've been thinking about when you talked about it. It's like, if you're old and you're like, you define your age and your comfort by the kind of game you play in that way, that's insecurity. You're worried people are going to think you're like a dumb kid just because you play a fun game.
I just find it weird. And like I said, you can only say that within the realm of gamers. If you say that to anyone else, they'll laugh. Like if you say that to anyone who's not into gaming, they'll laugh you off the face of the earth. Like who? Yeah. Like if you go on a date, hey baby, I play
you want to play Mario?
Yeah, like they'd be looking at you like, what? Like what are you talking about? Like it's so silly. Like I said, it only works in the realm of gamers, and even then it doesn't work very well. People just be like, okay, like it's a video game. These are meant for kids in the first place to begin with.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and think about movies, right? I mean, does anyone feel weird about seeing Pixar or Disney movies? No, because they're great, and it does. No one's like, oh, I must be perceived as a kid because I went to go see Wall-E. And it's like, no, you saw a great movie, just like you play great games if you play Mario.
Dude, even the latest Spider-Man really was more for the high school kids. If you really look at what it was
more than I'd prefer, actually, although I did like the movie. But it definitely didn't have that. Yeah.
A lot of these people are like they're hypocrites, because I've seen some of the same people say Lion King's like the greatest movie and they still watch it. So it's like they're contradicting themselves anyway, because like pretty much everyone likes the Lion King. It's a great movie, right? It's animated, it's cartoony, but it's still, you can still watch it. You can be a kid and watch the movie. I watched the movie last year and it was great. You know what I'm saying? So I mean,
and you cried when Mufasa died. Just admit it, dude. You cried when
I cried when I was a kid. Yes, I cried when I was a kid, but The Lion King is my favorite movie of all time, my favorite animated movie of all time. I watched it back then. I've watched it now. It's still a great movie because it has certain things that appeal to both, and that's how Nintendo games are. I kind of see Nintendo games as The Lion King. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel kind of bad for the people who won't play it just because of the way it looks. It's very odd. Because really, if you strip away the visuals, all it really is a bunch of wireframes underneath of that, like any other game. Like if you put it in wireframe mode and play, it's the same game. Like Call of Duty looks the same in wireframe, just like Mario. So it's very weird. And I don't know. And then there's a lot of people on forums and other places that are really mad that Mario Odyssey is getting the reviews that it is.
Yeah.
And that's something I never understood. Like, don't go on M4G. You go on M4G, people are really mad that Mario Odyssey is getting like 95s out of 100, 10 out of 10s. It's very interesting to me that people get really mad about a score. I purposely don't give any score in any of my reviews because I know I can't formulate my thoughts into a number like easily. I just can't. I'll just tell you, is it worth $60 or not?
Exactly.
That's all
I think
really do.
that's the most appropriate scale. It really has to be. I mean, we're pretty caught up in the number of reviews scale nowadays. It's just really common culture. And I do think there are times where if I'm like reading or watching or even thinking of my own review where maybe a number can like make sense. But there are those times with certain games where it doesn't make sense. It's like you said, to formulate it and take everything that this game is and just make it a number just doesn't feel right. I think there's more review sites too that are starting to do that where they don't use numbers and they're more just like this. The final statement of the game is it's really good or it's just okay or whatever. I think probably for that reason.
Sean, have you run across any people like that won't play a game just because of the way it looks?
Not really, because I don't talk to people.
That's a good strategy.
That's a good strategy for life.
I keep to myself, and like, you know, if somebody says, "Why are you playing a kid's game?" I'd be like, "Why are you dumb? Like, why are you talking to me? Go away!" Like,
this is mainly on Twitter that I'm Twitter video cast. Like, nobody talks to me in real life. I mean, I don't talk to anybody except for.
I mean, people can say whatever on Twitter. I had someone tell me today that I was a dope fiend on Twitter, and I'm like, okay, I haven't done drugs in 14, 15 years. Like,
I go to two. The hilarious thing is I go to two different gyms depending on what I'm doing that day, and the one gym is Planet Fitness, which I absolutely hate. It's the worst gym on the face of the earth. And then the other one I go to is a little further out. I think it's Retro Fitness, but a lot of the guys there are like Gold's Gym guys. You know, the really big guys that are like, you know, throw 450 up for warm up or everything on the bench, and every time I go there, they ask me because they know I do YouTube. They ask me when that Mario game's coming out because they want to play it. And it's these really big, you know, masculine guys. And they're like, when's Mario coming out? I want to play that one. No,
that is security and confidence. That's what you're looking at there.
It's really funny.
They're totally cool with themselves. Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's the guys like that. And like, I played collegiate football, like, and big old huge. I was the smallest dude on the team easily at state. I was the smallest guy. The kicker was bigger than me. You know, like, I mean, he's still in the NFL. Robert Malone. He's still in the NFL. He's still playing. Someone. But anyway, the kicker was bigger than me. I was the smallest dude on the team. And all of these dudes played Mario. A lot of these dudes played Smash Brothers. A lot of they don't because they're not insecure about themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like they're big football players that can knock you out in one hit. You know what I'm saying? They don't need to be worried about they don't associate their age or their toughness or anything with a video game. That's the dumbest thing that I mean, none of them have done that. And like I said, they're masculine, they're big dudes, you know, and none of them they all played Zelda, they all played Mario, we all played Smash Brothers,
I mean, look at all the WWE dudes. Look at all the NBA dudes with their Switches, soccer dudes. Like, you know, it transcends. You get to a certain point where you don't care about other people's, you know, opinion of stuff. It's worthless. So,
I mean, Rihanna was like she was hyped for Rihanna. She was hyped for Super Mario. You know,
right?
It's Rihanna. She's like the epitome of. She's really cool. People love her. She has like a gazillion followers on Twitter, and like her line is so popular. People love her, and she was like talking about Super Mario, baby. Like she likes it. There's tons of athletes, entertainers. At this point, like I said, it's just kind of. I would say it's insecurity. That'd be the only thing that I can think of, somewhat.
John Ryan says he's 31 and sick of photorealistic games. I'm not sick of photorealistic games. I just when I look at a game, I realize at its core, it's wireframes and polygons, and that's it. But I do appreciate art style. Like I like Mario's art style. I like Uncharted's art style. Right, the new Spider-Man coming out. I like that art style. It really is visually appealing, and most of the people on people on the podcast here, I think everyone on here has probably reviewed a game at some point. I would assume, right? I think Rob, you've reviewed a game, haven't you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. And I know Evan. I know OJ. I know Sean has. When you review a game, you look at it for what it is, not what you want it to be, and then you kind of grade it on what it. Like we would all grade Mario as a platformer. We would all grade Call of Duty as a shooter, and you kind of have to move mindsets. But when you look at art styles, you have to understand what they're trying to go for, and then you grade it on that. Mario, the art style in Mario, they nailed perfectly, I think. And like the feeling of something like Last of Us, I think they nailed as well. So it really comes down to what they're trying to accomplish, not is this a 17-year-old game, you know?
Yeah, I think it's like the intention of the game and the developer and the story, and if whatever they're doing visually matches what they're trying to do and doesn't like totally like disgust you, then just like you said, you just take it on the case-by-case scenario. Like every game is its own thing in a lot of different ways, and one of those is the graphics and the visual. But it's weird because, I mean, the graphics conversation even goes back for like the 16-bit era. Like gamers have been fighting over graphics almost since there's been video games. So it's just kind of a sad thing that it just still hasn't gone away. Like the conversation's changed a little bit because it's not a bit wars anymore, although I do miss the bit wars so much.
Yeah.
It's still like the same kind of garbagey stuff. It's like, my graphics are better than your graphics, so you suck. Like, whatever.
Although I think that, you know, at this point with the whole graphics debate, I think there's nothing wrong with diversity. Like, is there a reason why we can't have games that look one way compared to other games? Like, that's the thing that I don't understand. Should every game look like Call of Duty or whatever the case is? Like, is there a reason why we can't have we have different types of movies, we have different types of every form, we have different types of music, we have different types of everything, but why can't we have different types of games as far as the graphical variety and like what they do? We have different genres. So to me, it just seems like a waste of time to talk about. I mean, at this point, to be complaining about certain graphics, everything's HD. Everything looks pretty good for the most part.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's actually really. Once we did hit HD, it's like, what are we even talking about? That's a really good point.
So at this point, I'm just like, dude, just does it play good? That's fine. There's still games, 30 frames, 60 frames, 1080p, 900p, 720p, whatever. Just like, is the game good? Is it fun? Play the game. That's cool. There's all sorts of games that do all sorts of things, you know. So
yep. So that's it's an interesting concept, but I think you're right. I think we need a little bit of everything in the gaming space because, I mean, then you don't have any creativity if they're all the same. It'd be boring. Like it'd be a shame if something like Ori and the Blind Forest didn't come out because they were worried it was too cartoony.
Yeah, I don't think Rhyme would have been as impactful if it was all 100% hyper realistic.
Oh, that's coming out too. Oh man, all the Switch people who haven't played that yet and it comes out, go get it. It's a good game.
Yeah.
Is it good? I've been curious, and
it was really good.
Yeah,
an excellent story. I will say it's pretty much a one playthrough. Like once you get to the end of it, you're gonna get hit with everything they really wanted you to feel all at once, and then it's done. Like you're gonna feel that again the second time through. But
there's no dialogue in it either, which is crazy.
It's sort of like they do have moments of talking, but it's always just listening to a story less than like having a conversation with anything.
It's pretty interesting. The visuals are cool, but I played it on the PS4. You played it on the PC, right, Evan?
Yep. I think I beat it in one sitting.
It's not a long game. Yeah, but it's a good experience. It's fun. I think it's like $30. It's worth the $30.
Yeah, definitely worth the $30.
Yeah, and I'm a physical guy, so I probably want it physical, which would then be 40. Would you say it's worth that 40?
It comes with a soundtrack though, and the soundtrack's
pretty awesome. I got that. We got that with the Steam release as well.
Wasn't that Lindsay? Was that Sterling? What's her name? Oh man, I'm blanking on that.
Who did the soundtrack?
Yeah. I think she plays the violin on YouTube. Oh, what's her name?
It's the way you guys kind of describe like the experience and the journey and the emotional impact at the end. It kind of reminds me. It sounds like the game Journey, like the PS3 game.
Yeah,
Journey.
she did. Yeah, Lindsay Sterling. She did the music for it. It's very very well done. She's a very talented violinist.
Gotcha.
Yes, it's very, very well. It has like those moments of like where the music kind of fade in when there's supposed to be like a certain mood. I
love that stuff. I mean, honestly, even Skyrim does that, and that was one of my favorite things about Skyrim. And Breath of the Wild started doing that kind of thing too, where like the music will like flourish as you like come over a hill or come up on something, and that kind of stuff is really cool. I'm a big fan of that.
Yep. But that's good. Evan, we got questions over on the Discord, man.
Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff we can try to sort through, see what might be really worth answering, because like we got the first one, which is guesstimates, I guess, for the 7 PlayStation games. I mean, these are pretty much not at all known, so like I don't really know if we can just
I'm gonna give you one that I'm hoping I'm hoping for Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yes,
I don't know if we're gonna see it, but I would love to see it there. But I believe it was Paris Games Week where Bloodborne was announced, I believe, so maybe Bloodborne 2.
Now you're really talking my language with Bloodborne 2. That would be so exciting.
There's a comment from the comment section over here. The Ravenflow says Sucker Punch IP, and that's probably what I put my money on. They haven't been It's been a while since we last had a Sucker Punch game. I think.
Do you think it's just going to be straight up like a new IP?
Yeah, I think it'll be something new. I don't think they're going to do Infamous like Second Son
not another
2
Infamous.
or another Infamous. I think they're going to be done with that for just a little bit, and they'll come back to it later. But we'll see. Maybe it's like another superhero type of game-ish type of deal. I like Infamous. I played it. It's good.
Maybe the Infamous is a great. I like Infamous. That's a really good game. It's a very good looking game too, by the way.
I played all three. I've gotten pretty much all the stuff that you can do in all of them. I've always just played. It's like my comfort type of game when there's nothing else to play. Just play
what if they
Infamous.
did like a spin-off where they have another affected person somewhere else in the world, and then they're kind of building towards this big story with Infamous where they all come together?
They kind of did that with the DLC.
That was Last Light, right?
Yeah. So they kind of did that, kind of.
Sure.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, either way, it'll be fine if it's Infamous 4 maybe or whatever, or if it's the next Infamous, that's fine. I'd buy it. That's the one game that I'd probably buy from them. If it's another Infamous, because that was one of my favorites from PS3. So
I definitely think that I think that we probably will see like some new IPs. So like something from Sucker Punch would make sense. I feel like we'll probably get a couple indies that might be like big high profile indies that they really want to push. Whether or not they'd be exclusive or not would be tough to say. But
dude, somebody said in the chat maybe Rocksteady has their announcement there.
That'd be cool. They've been silent for a while.
Superman game.
They kind of hyped it a little bit. Like they kind of hyped like, oh, what we're working on is like incredible, like. So.
Yeah, I don't really know where else they would announce it other than the next 2 Sony events, right? I mean, there's no other events for the other 2 companies the rest of this year.
There's PSX.
That we know. Well, that's what I mean. I mean, we have 2 more left for PlayStation or Sony.
Oh, this and PSX. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Nintendo, I'm sure, could do it direct at any time, but
I think we'll get another direct. Yeah,
I think for Pokemon. Like, just talk anything else about it? Do we need to know anything else about it?
Wait, Ultra Sun?
Like the new one?
Do we need to know anything else about it?
No, they're done. They also put out a new trailer talking more about it, like recently. So I don't think they're gonna really. They don't need to detail it anymore. And they got a big spot at their last Nintendo Direct, so I think they're good with that. Yeah.
I guess there's not a lot. Really, I mean, it's the Pokemon formula, right? There's not much else they need to really tell us, right?
It's just Pokemon Sun and Moon, but they have the new story in there. They have a few different things, but yeah, it's going to be much like they've done this before, right? With the Ultra editions, like Omegas and stuff like that.
That's not new what they're doing, right? Yeah. It's not no. I mean, I think we all just want to see what it looks like on the Switch. That's all at this point.
Yes. Everyone's looking forward to the Switch one.
I'm not even a Pokemon fan, and I'm still really curious to see what the Switch one will look like. I'm very curious.
We can easily capture Pokemon footage finally.
Hey,
I know that's the biggest thing for me. The reason why I don't play Pokemon games on my channel is because I don't have a 3DS capture card. I don't want to deal with the 3DS. Like getting your capture card like hooked up with the getting a capture card on the 3DS is a pain in the butt. You just can't.
Aren't
do
they
HDMI.
also like? Aren't there like special 3DSs out there that are made for capture too? Is that right, or am I?
They're not made for it, but they're upgraded for it. They actually add
allow it.
Hardware to it.
Yeah,
they build it. Okay.
You can order it. I think they're usually like $400 or $500 total for the system.
That's crazy.
Mod.
Yeah.
People buy them. Like if you're a Pokemon YouTuber, you can't be a Pokemon YouTuber without it. Basically,
just tell people what's going on the screen.
And there are a ton of big Pokemon YouTubers like out there. There's a number of them that play Pokemon. Like type in Pokemon Let's Play. Boom, they all come up. They all got like 300,000 subscribers plus. So there's a lot of those guys out there.
It's a very popular genre to get into. There's a lot of fans for it. So, which I guess I'll be playing the Switch version. See, I got into Pokemon when it was like really old, back like Red and Blue, and then Silver and Gold. Love Silver and Gold. And then I kind of started to fall out of it, and then I tried to get back into it recently, and I there were too many weird Pokemon, so I was like, I was waiting for the Switch version. Now I'm just waiting for the Switch version, and I'll do it then.
That's why Pokemon X and Y was really cool. They tried to grab you, like the old school guys. That's where it kind of grabbed me back in after a while because I didn't play Omega. Well, that was afterwards, but I didn't play like the Alpha, Sapphire, and all that. I kind of skipped all that, and then I kind of got back into it with Diamond and Pearl. That's when I kind of got back into it. And then I picked it back up again with X and Y. And X and Y, you actually get the original starters. You get you can pick between Bulbasaur, Squirtle. I mean, they have their own starters too, like Greninja and all that. But you can also pick another one with Bulbasaur, Squirtle, or Charmander.
Oh, so that sounds more like my speed right there.
And you can capture Pokemon from the first 150. There are Pokemon from the first 150 all littered all throughout there. So they tried to X and Y did that. So
Evan, you played what'd you play? Black and White 2 or Black and White?
I think it was the first. Yeah, just Black and White. I don't think I got 2.
Okay. I remember you guys went really serious on that for a little while.
I think didn't Andrew pick that up just before PAX? Was it?
Yeah, you guys like went away for PAX.
Yeah, and then we went away for PAX. I think I beat it on the train ride over, and then we just hung out there playing. It was awesome.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Switch one. We don't even know what it's called yet, but I still think we're going to see it 2018. We have to see either that or Metroid. I think in 2018, one of the two.
I would love to see. I myself have been like really vocal that I believe those games are 2019. I don't know why they don't feel like they're games that are meant to be ready by 2018, but you know, I do also totally acknowledge that could be wrong.
Well, I
feel like if there's one of the, go ahead.
There's a rumor floating around, this interesting rumor that apparently we're going to see Metroid footage in January.
I heard that, and on that same tip, I do feel of the two games, Pokemon or Metroid, I think is the one more likely to be seen sooner than Pokemon.
See, that's interesting.
Just gut feeling, you know?
Okay, because it was found that Pokemon, all of the sprites on the 3DS version, all have like high definition versions.
Yeah, a lot of their assets are like
already like kind of ready to go.
See, but would that hint to like those same assets moving to a whole brand new game, or more like they would try to do some weird remaster?
See, I feel like they're gonna do something that's like that middle game. Maybe, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, they made a whole new story in Ultra Sun and Moon like in a year. So, I mean, maybe they pull the assets. What are they going to introduce a whole other 100 Pokemon for it? I don't know.
I don't know why. I mean, I would love for both of those games to come out next year, and I am dying inside for Metroid. So it's like bring it on in 2018. But I feel like for some reason I'm trying to fill like in my headcanon of the Nintendo release schedule in the future. I want to know that they haven't truly blown their whole wad in this first year, which I don't think they have. But what if that is what they did? And it's like, okay, well then how do you let us know that 2018 and 2019 and 2020 will still have a lot of good Nintendo games? And if we know of a couple next year, and if we could think that, okay, couple next year in 2018, that's good. And then also in 2019, we know Metroid and Pokemon would come out. Then it's like we can feel comfortable for at least the next 2 years. Just because we've seen so many Nintendo games this year, which is awesome. But I don't know. That's why I feel like maybe they're just planting seeds for games that are past 2018 with those two games. So that's kind of why I've justified it in my head that way, but anything's possible.
I mean, look at this past year, though. Mario and Zelda in the same year, and then a Xenoblade and ARMS. And
their new IP.
And Splatoon, too.
Yeah.
And ARMS, yes. I mean, I think the development atmosphere has gotten a lot quicker at Nintendo. That was one of the big things that everyone told me.
Well, they pulled Metroid internal, didn't they?
Yeah, they pulled that internal. Yeah, they pulled that internal. And not only that, but like, I mean, like we said, we've got Fire Emblem. We obviously, next level games, they still have something that they're working on that we don't know about. Retro Studios, they still have something.
Retro.
Retro Studios. Also, the team that did Twilight Princess HD, I forgot what, Straight Right or whatever that development thing.
No, wasn't that Tantalus? Did you find out that was Tantalus?
Yeah. Tantalus. Yeah. They're working on a Switch project. There are Monster Games. They're potentially working on a Switch project. They did Excitebots. They did Excite Truck. They did Xenoblade Chronicles on the new Nintendo 3DS. So Nintendo has that studio. I mean, Nintendo at any point could get like Alpha Dream, Grizzo, these guys that have worked on 3DS games to also do projects as well. I mean, there's a pool of developers, and the Switch is easier than ever to develop on compared to what Nintendo's done before.
Retro's working on a new IP, right?
I don't think that's confirmed, but I don't think it's
confirmed, but that's been discussed that the rumors like a while ago was they're working on some type of like adventure all-star game that can use amiibo as well, but I don't know if that
oh, here comes that big amiibo game, man.
I don't know if that rumor is,
I do think they pulled Metroid internally on purpose, probably because they have a schedule in mind for when they want it out. They might want Metroid out. Okay. That might be the game at E3 that you go to, and it's like how Mario Odyssey was this past E3,
that'd be awesome.
Where they have like the stands up and it's all decorated for Metroid and everything.
There's a little story with Metroid and maybe why it got pulled internal. Now, this is also a rumor as well. This is not confirmed. But from what I understand, Tanabe and the guys over at Retro kind of bumping heads just a little bit, especially after Metroid Prime 3, bumping heads on the direction. And they just said, you guys basically, then Miyamoto said, stop it, you two, like kids, and go to your room, you go to your room. Hey, you do something new, you go. So that's basically, what's maybe going on there. Tanabe, because Tanabe is much as a Metroid Prime dude as anyone else. So maybe he really wanted to spearhead his own team and not have to work through teleconferencing and flying out to Texas all the time. Yeah. So he can just work with his team in Japan, and Retro can just do their own thing, you know. So maybe that's what there's a rumor that's what happened there. So
it's interesting to think about that, because we do also know, at least a couple of years ago, this was true, that Retro was a 2-team studio, and that's when people started to get excited when the Donkey Kong games were coming out. Like, oh, they must have, you know, one team on Donkey Kong, and the next team must also be on Metroid, right, or whatever the next thing is. And we haven't seen that game. And then when you bring up that rumor, OJ, like, I could see that being true. And it kind of conflicts with the 2-team thing, because what would the other team be doing? We only have an idea of one game that they're making. But to further build on the Metroid thing, I wanted to touch on something too. Something I've talked about a lot on my channel, and I haven't had obviously a chance to bring it up on the podcast, so I'll bring it up here and see what people think about it. But one of the reasons I also think it could make sense for Prime 4 to be 2019 and not 2018 kind of builds off of what you were just listing off, OJ, is I do feel there's a good shot that Metroid Prime trilogy does release in some way on the Switch. And I think that is a great middle release game, where Samus Returns came out this year. We get that Prime trilogy release, which could be either just like a port to like the eShop, or it could be like a straight crazy remaster thing in 2018 to keep the Metroid and Samus hype kind of going. And then 2019 might then be that Prime 4 year. And since, OJ, you just mentioned that Tantalus is working on some sort of project, I think it'd be great if we found out Tantalus' new port was the Metroid Prime trilogy, the way they did Twilight Princess. And that's the 2018 Metroid game that we get. And people get excited, and it showcases the Joy-Cons. Like, if the Joy-Cons are meant to be a focus of Prime 4, then we could have kind of that, we could use the Prime trilogy as like a guinea pig for what those controls could feel like. And then it's like, okay, you love the Prime trilogy. Well, here's 4 in 2018, you know, and that could be the big thing. So I like the Tantalus thing, because it makes me think there could be truth to that.
Metroid Prime 3, Retro wanted to have Samus hunt bounties, but Nintendo said no. Does that sound right?
It does, because that was in a couple of years after Hunters came out on the DS, which, from everything I knew at that time, they really did like that idea. And that's why Sylux's ship is featured at the end. They really have wanted to build on that. And that's why they had more bounty hunters in Prime 3. They brought in a cast of characters for the first time. This predates Other M and all the drama with that game. They brought in a whole different cast of characters with other bounty hunters that were like compadres to Samus. And so all the different bounty enemies and hunters, and then the bounty hunters that they brought into Prime 3 was kind of part of a bigger vision, but it didn't play out that way. And that I don't know why, but that's kind of what they did. So it's interesting.
Let me, Evan, what do we have more questions in Discord? We kind of went off on a tangent on that question.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of went through sort of one of them. I mean, it's a little more focused. With the release of Mario and Zelda setting the bar so high for, I guess, like player excitement and everything, I mean, is it going to be tough for anything to really start to match it on the Switch? Or are we going to see that die down a little bit, which I guess we were talking a little about what they might have coming up next year?
Well, I don't think we're going to see an original Zelda or Mario game for a little while now. I think we just got both of them in the same.
Well, no, it's not just those, but it's like anything else.
Yeah, but like those are the two franchises that we know. I mean, you could see a Smash Bros. That could do it. That would really get people super excited and like go out and let's get a Switch right now. We need 4 of them, you know.
Yeah, I think it'll get vocal people excited. I don't know if it's going to get as many as.
Of course, there's Metroid. We say it's super popular, but I know it's popular in the U.S. It's not very popular in Japan. The thing about Mario and Zelda is not even as much Zelda. It's mostly Mario. Has that universal appeal. Like everybody in every region wants to play Mario. It's not like Zelda it's popular in Japan, but it's not like Mario popular, right? I don't really know what other franchise they have that would make people explode through the roof for, other than something like a Smash Bros, maybe a Metroid. I mean, we saw the reactions from people. What do you think, OJ? What do you think from something like Nintendo? What could they roll in with?
With what type of game are you?
Yeah, because they're talking about how the bar's been set so high for Switch in its first year at this point, because there's a new Mario and there's new Zelda on it. I mean, what could they do to even match that going forward?
It seems like here's the thing where my expertise of RPGs comes in. Fire Emblem. Let me talk about Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem is just as good as anything else. Nintendo. It just doesn't get the praise. It doesn't get the sales. But Fire Emblem Awakening is the game that saved that franchise.
I think the problem with that game is there's no like one recognizable character to the public. Like whereas you can look at any game like Mario Soccer. Mario's on the front, so let's buy it because Mario's in it. You know, they don't go, "Oh, Roy's on the front. I'm gonna go buy that."
True. But at the same time, if you're talking about high quality game that you're bringing to the market, Fire Emblem is a very high quality game. Fire Emblem Fates sold really well, over 2 million units for that one on the 3DS, and that was on the 3DS. I mean, I think if they spruce it up, obviously they said it's going to have beautiful looking graphics. And it's going to be fully voiced, probably going to be fully voiced like Fire Emblem Warriors was. So if they make a great Fire Emblem game and market it as well as they marketed Fire Emblem Awakening and Fire Emblem Fates, I think that you can have a game that actually surpasses what it's been able to do and gain popularity. They can build upon that. Yes, it's not a Mario. Yes, it's not a Zelda, but I think people are like, these are evergreen titles, right? Mario and Zelda. People are going to be buying those games next year. Even though whenever they get a Switch, like they're going to be buying it next year, they're going to be buying those games.
Be selling forever, basically.
Yeah, selling forever. So it's just going to be extracurricular, extra stuff that people can buy. So Fire Emblem is going to be big for them next year, and I personally feel there's going to be a Metroid next year, and I also think that there's going to be a return of a traditional IP. I mean, I think potentially Kid Icarus can come back based on maybe from Sakurai. I mean, we don't know what he's working on. A lot of rumors going around that he's not doing Smash Brothers, the next one, because his hand almost fell off. While programming it, so I'm thinking that we can get a Kid Icarus. So maybe we don't get necessarily the toppest tier Mario's and Zeldas, but we still get those for evergreen titles to sell the Switch.
Yeah, but you know what would probably do it is like a Mario Maker 2.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like a Mario Maker, a 2D Mario game. A Mario Maker would probably be the best bet. Like a Mario Maker, you combine
we saw what happened when that came out on the internet.
Exactly. I mean, you combine that with like potentially like another port or remake of an older one, like completely redone, like another Zelda or something like that, or like a Metroid or something. And there's all sorts of possibilities what Nintendo can do. I think Kid Icarus Uprising, that could be also another game that really reaches out and gets more people. They would just have to fix the controls. The controls were just trash on the 3D. But the game was ridiculously good. The game was ridiculously good. So I think Nintendo can really, the Switch has an opportunity to boost some of their midline franchises up. So that's personally what I feel.
You got any, Sean, that you'd want to see?
Zelda 2 remake.
Zelda 2, okay.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
I'm surprised no one said Bayonetta.
That's a given. I thought we were talking about first party. Like, I didn't know you were talking about third party.
I mean, you could really anything. They're just saying anything that can set the bar higher. Like
Bayonetta. Like, oh my God, yes, then I would have said Bayonetta.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I love Bayonetta. Bayonetta 2. I've 100%. I've collected all the achievements on Bayonetta 1. I 100% did Bayonetta 2. Yes, a Bayonetta 3. That would be obviously for the core fan base. I don't know how.
I think it's coming too. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah. I would love a Bayonetta 3. Like, sign me up for that any day. I have 3 copies of that game, and I gave away 2 copies. So I bought 5 copies of the game. So yeah.
What else do we have, Evan?
I'm looking over them. I think we stumbled into and answered most of these actually throughout a lot of the podcasts.
Oh man, we're just that good.
We're too good.
Randomly, like the only other thing is, do you think we'll see any big MMO come to the Switch? I don't really think, other than like maybe like a Fantasy Star. I don't really see.
We got to 400 likes. I know it's impossible to get to 500 likes. I don't think we can do that.
We can do it.
But
let's just keep talking about Metroid.
There's no way
if we just keep talking about Metroid.
Why don't we take questions from the chat since we still have another 10 minutes or 15 minutes before we start?
Real quick, I do think an Animal Crossing could also be that big game.
That's
too,
a good question.
Good call.
Animal Crossing. So yeah, Animal Crossing that connects up with the mobile game. You could do some transferring stuff or whatever. It's
good because it definitely appeals to the female audience as well. That can actually help pull more girls onto the Switch.
I always tell my brother, I make a joke. I'm like, yeah, you're pointing the female audience, and I always make fun of my brother because like he loves that game. So that's.
It is technically a unisex game, but it is about decorating houses. So I get the appeal there.
It was just a joke that I play with my brother because I say that he's girly or sissy or whatever. So.
Somebody said Beautiful Joe. I would absolutely love to see a Beautiful Joe come back.
That would be great. There's a little bit too much reliance on Capcom. I think we need to make that happen, unfortunately. But
it's Capcom.
It's a nice idea.
Yeah,
it's a nice idea, but it's Capcom.
Yeah, it is Capcom. Yeah. They're going to do what they want, which is not make anything interesting and original.
I think Smash Brothers was a good one though, John. I mean, you brought that up like first thing, and that makes so much sense. And we've all been waiting for Smash, and the rumors from before the Switch came out about even a port of the Wii U one. And you know, I brought up Tantalus with the Metroid thing, but what if Tantalus was doing a Wii U port or a Switch port of the Wii U Smash? Like,
this is a good question in the chat, and I would actually like to see this. Do you think Sony will announce a PlayStation 1 Classic Edition, similar to say the Super Nintendo Classic Edition? That would be really cool.
So I've heard talk about that, and I feel like you guys, and especially you, John, could answer this better. I listened to a podcast where they talked about that idea and like how exciting that would be, and I would love that. That would be so freaking cool. But apparently, because of those being disc-based games, and a lot of them, they relied so much on like voice acting and full motion video and stuff, they made it sound like it would just be really hard because of the space and the price that it would cost for the components. Does that, compared to doing like 16-bit games or even like 64, does that sound right to you guys?
No,
does that
no. I mean, let's say they put 20 games on there. And let's say they put Final Fantasy VII on there, which is like, I think that's a little over 1.5 gigabytes or 1.3 gigabytes. They could put like a 64 gigabyte NAND chip in there, and they'd be able to fit 20 games, which would include all of the Final Fantasies, including Anthology or Chrono Trigger, stuff like that. They could take the 4-disc ones. They could put Digimon, the first Digimon on there that people really like.
If they did that, I'd be totally. If Legend of Dragoon, Final Fantasy VII, I'd buy it.
It would be the RPG machine, man. That's
just those two.
I will say it might need to be like $100 just because some of the components, like the flash chip, would be a little more expensive.
Yeah, but the price was part of what they were talking about.
$99.99 would be the price.
I would buy it if it had Legend of Dragoon, Xenogears, and Final Fantasy VII. I'd buy it in a heartbeat.
Yes, I mean most ARM chips can play it. In fact, the Super Nintendo Classic and the NES Classic can play PS1 games. That's not an issue. They have the ability to play them.
So the question is, do you guys feel that era of 3D 32-bit gaming, like, did that age well enough, do we think, to even do that?
For a lot of people, no. But for a group of people, it'll be fine. But for a lot of people, they'll be like, I'm not buying that crap.
Sean could hit us with like probably some pretty good PS1 games, couldn't you, Sean?
Oh yeah. I mean, Metal Gear Solid, Vagrant Story. You could do Resident Evil 1 through 3, Silent Hill.
What about like Wild Arms?
Tomb Raider.
The first Wild Arms.
Jet Moto. You guys remember Jet Moto?
Yeah.
Jet Moto.
Oh yeah. Oh, and Cool Boy.
Siphon Filter. You know, there's a bunch, but
Siphon Filter, he ran really weird. I really did not.
He did run really
OJ's like, I can't do that run, man.
I just couldn't I literally stopped playing because of that, the way that he ran in that game. So I mean, it's a good game.
You guys got it to over 500 likes. Wow.
Sweet, there we go.
That's pretty good.
It was because of Metroid.
Our audience is good,
Spyro. Man. This dude said Spyro. Who is that? Sean Ryan. There we go. Spyro.
Spyro's a good one. Yeah. Well, and then I mean, it would seem weird now, but obviously the Crash games were really big at the time too. It's kind of pointless because the remaster just came out for PS4. But that's.
I do think we'll see a Spyro collection though, similar to what the Crash Bandicoot one that came out.
They'd be smart to do that. Yeah.
I think that is going to happen. I just don't know when. Maybe that's one of the ones at the Sony event coming up.
Yeah, maybe we're going to get a Croc collection. How many Croc games were there?
Ooh, there were a bunch, weren't there?
Was there that many?
Was there Gex as well? There's Gex too.
Yeah, Gex. Yeah. Gex was great though.
Yeah, it was. It was good.
That was a good game.
Let me see if we have any other questions I can pick out in the chat here. It kind of moves a little quick at times.
It's moving fast, man. I'm looking at it.
It's moving.
It moves a little quick at times.
And there's people just spouting out random stuff too as well. So you gotta just.
Someone said Tomb Raider trilogy. Definitely, I love the old Tomb Raider.
What if there was a Sega Saturn Mini?
Symphony of the Night. Yes.
I think Sean makes noise when he hears that.
That would be awesome.
I know he'd buy like 3 of them.
I mean, there would be so many. The problem with I think a PS1 Mini and a Saturn Mini would be licensing.
Yeah, you're right.
An issue.
I mean, it's very easy to put stuff on a digital storefront, and that's one thing. But when you start selling a physical good, there's a lot more stuff. You got to get in contact with the companies. Well, I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Sean, you don't think they've probably already thought about this, right? Sony's had to have thought about this a million. It's got to have been brought up into board meetings or something, right?
Like, I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they had to have thought about this because they have a gold mine of, well, third parties have a gold mine of games for PlayStation, so.
Well, and Sean, when you bring up the licensing thing, like for the Saturn, would that be the same problem? Obviously, I would think on the PlayStation one also. Is that the same problem you get into like across the board with those consoles?
Honestly, it would probably be a hell of a lot easier to do from a licensing standpoint, a Saturn one, because most of the good Saturn games were Sega IPs. So, I mean, Sega doesn't care. But, once you start looking at the PlayStation, you got a lot of third-party stuff on there. So, I don't know. It just depends. I mean, you saw a good variety of stuff with the SNES Classic. So, it's doable, but...
Who made that Saturn game? And you're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong. Is it called Guardian Heroes? With
Guardian Heroes was...
like a 6-player beat-em-up kind of game? Is that the right game on the Saturn?
I want to say Treasure, but I don't think that's right.
It was a really good game. So
yes, it was.
A friend of mine had one. Had a Saturn. And he had that, and he had the Congo game from the movie Congo, which was really
Treasure.
Good. Yes.
Awesome.
So good job. That was such a good game. Like, that would be a great game to have on that, I think.
That actually released on the Xbox 360 arcade.
Really? Like, did they change it, or was it like just a straight port?
They made like an HD version of it or something like that, if I recall correctly.
Sweet. So good.
Yo, people said we hit trending on YouTube.
What?
Yeah, for live.
We're pretty trendy.
I see it. I'm seeing it pop up in the chat. I haven't checked or anything. I don't know where I'd even look.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have
do this.
You have 800 something viewers, so that's definitely going to get you up there on YouTube Gaming Live.
Oh, and probably the likes probably help too. So good job, everyone in the chat.
That is awesome. Yeah.
Good job, guys. We did it. All right, cool. We got I guess we got time for at least another question in the chat. Let me see what we have here. Oh, people are asking where they can find Colin Moriarty's channel.
Why?
Oh, it's at colinslaststand.com/YouTube. Just kidding.
It's Rule of 2 review, right?
Yes,
Rob?
you got it, John.
Yes.
Yeah,
Rule of 2 review.
Rule of 2 review. It's a big fancy dumb Star Wars name, and it's Rule of the number 2 for anyone who's curious to look it up.
Rule of 2 review.
Yes, Rule of 2 review. I love the Colin Moriarty. I don't know why I don't get sick of Colin Moriarty. I think it's hilarious, and I get some really funny comments about it. So,
oh man,
he never wears a hat though. To my knowledge, we have the same kind of beard and glasses, and I think that must be it. Also, he doesn't smile very often. That's the one thing about Colin. He's a pretty serious dude. So. Oh
yeah. See. Oh, people were asking in the chat. I saw. Oh man. Did you guys saw the whole breakdown that the Polygon guy had on Twitter?
I missed that.
I heard about it. I saw Rich did a video on it.
That's what I saw.
It. I missed that completely. I had no idea that he thought he deleted his save and then it was actually still there. And he went as far as to pull Zelda out of the top 3 because of it or something.
It was a big hissy fit because of something that had nothing to do with the game, and it had nothing to do with the Switch or anything Nintendo did. It was either the guy's friend or his brother or something. I can't remember. Just accidentally, he thought erased his game. Oh, well, I feel you should have gone on a tirade about your brother being an idiot, not about Zelda not being a good game just because your brother did something stupid. Right. It was really a weird story, weird thing. That's interesting. But I think the problem is that Rich made a good point in that whenever YouTubers do something dumb or a streamer does something dumb or something, you always see that pop up on their sites, right? Whether it's Kotaku or Polygon or any of that stuff. But nothing about that. That was the most interesting part that Rich brought up was that they didn't report at all about it. Yeah, it wasn't a big news story. I mean, the only place I've even heard of it was from Rich also. Yeah, it's very odd. All the tweets were deleted and everything, and I guess they pretend like it didn't happen, but it was
the thing about it is that from that site, that type of behavior it's expected. So I'm just like, oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest. This type of stuff that happens at these sites, it's expected for that type of stuff to happen. So when I see it, I'm like, yep, that's totally believable. Yep. So yeah.
Well, we've seen some of the journalists. There's somebody. Link to a journalist too dumb for master mode. Oh man.
Jeez.
We have seen that kind of stuff happen. I mean, the guy who tried to play Cuphead and got pretty much roasted by even actually the journalist sites roasted him too. So
yeah,
I guess it depends on what happens.
That controversy was really interesting, like from my perspective, because when it was happening and kind of blowing up and making news, like I was like, when I just saw like the headlines and understood what was happening, I was like, okay, well, this guy sounds pretty dumb. I get it. He wasn't very good at a game that's supposed to be hard anyway, but like, why? Who really cares? Like, why is this such a big story? And then I did see a quick clip of him trying to do the tutorial thing, and it was absolutely as bad as I heard. And I'm still not the kind of guy to be like, everyone get mad at him for being a bad gamer. Like, I don't really care. But when I saw the gameplay, I was like, oh yes, no, this is very bad. Like, it was bad.
Oh no.
So, yeah. Very
bad as advertised.
Yeah. I should ask you guys, did any of you guys pop in any original Xbox games to your Xbox Ones?
I have not yet.
Okay.
I'm very curious. Yeah,
I may try that after this. Actually,
you can actually you can also buy them on the shop. I think they're $10.
Yeah, they're $10.
Like $10.
Really?
Yeah. Great deal for Knights of the Republic, by the way, and it actually runs really well on the Xbox One. I think it gets anywhere from 40 to 60 frames, whereas if you go back to the 360, it was getting like 15 to 20 frames.
That is crazy. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm not good on that. That is really exciting.
I did. Yeah, I saw a video comparison,
and it's upscaled to 960p on the Xbox One, and it's 1920p on the Xbox One X. Wow. Because it's 4:3, so it's like a square basically in the screen.
And didn't they make it to the? Am I remembering this wrong? The full Xbox library, or was it just we've made a huge step to most of it?
It's for the original Xbox. I think they brought over
10 games.
Yeah.
Oh, just 10 games? Why did I thought I heard that they were like, oh, we finally got the whole library? I guess
they're going to keep adding. They're going to keep adding more to it. But 10 games. They added good ones. Ninja Gaiden Black is up there, which I like that game a lot. It's a fun game. Knights of the Republic
is huge. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, Psychonauts is up there.
Psychonauts is great. Is Doom 3?
No. Doom 3.
If you like Punishment, Ninja Gaiden Black, that's a great. Goodness gracious. I played the original Ninja Gaiden, and I mean Black fixed some things, but
they also just put Black, the shooter, that's on there too.
Oh yeah.
I like that game.
That was the big destructible environments game, I think.
That's the one where you went open doors, you would like shoot them down with a shotgun.
How do they have 10 games and 2 of them are the ones with the word Black in it? Like literally the 2 games on the library, Black and Ninja Gaiden Black.
Their biggest problem is they haven't added online to it. They didn't bring servers back up for something like Crimson Skies.
Yeah, and a lot of people seem to tell him, because I said something about that, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, keep dreaming," blah blah blah. But I'm like, why are you doing Crimson Skies? Also, sidebar, I just saw something very interesting. I don't know if this is old news. Did you know that there is a Elder Scrolls Skyrim limited edition accessory kit for the Nintendo Switch that's made by Bethesda, Nintendo, and Hori?
Yeah,
I might have missed that.
I reported on it. It's coming to GameStop. I think I reported those on GameStop. Like, it's the game, and it's like a little traveling case and some stuff, right?
Yeah, it's got an interesting Joy-Con holder that looks kind of uniquely shaped, almost. I see it on Amazon.
Is it maybe?
I actually reported on that.
I haven't seen it, but I wonder if the weird shape is because they put motion control into that. Like, remember the video where he's like pulling a bow and arrows? So maybe it's like supposed to look like that.
I don't know. It's interesting the way it looks. Where the hell is a chat in this thing? Here it is. I dropped the link in there. It popped up on my Facebook, and then I looked at it, and I was like, huh, this is kind of weird. I guess because it's like a officially licensed Bethesda accessory.
Did you say it was Hori? Was that the company?
Yeah, Hori's making it.
Huh. Switch accessories.
I put it in the Google Hangout chat.
Oh, cool. I'll check it out.
Oh, gotcha.
Check that out. Very cool. Oh, nice. Saw that, Rob. I saw your sub count pop up here just now when I was looking through the people in the chat here, and you're actually almost at 8,000.
Oh, I'm creeping up, man. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Dude, good for you, man.
Really excited.
You're working at that. Good stuff.
Thanks. Yeah, it's it's been a slow but consistent burn, and I'm really excited to hit that 10K mark. Yes,
very good, man.
Cruising along.
I guess we're just about done here then, guys. Do you want to go around and tell people where they can find you? If you want to start with you, Rob.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, my name's Rob. You can find me at collinslaststand.com.
Yeah. Do you want to drop your link in the chat? Also, people are asking for the link to your
oh, okay, yeah, awesome. Thank you, guys. Yes, I will do that. But yeah, so it's my channel is called Rule of Two Review, Rule of the Number Two, and same on Twitter, same on Facebook, and it's just me kind of talking games and Nintendo and stuff just like this. So yeah, it was awesome being on. Thank you so much for having me on again, guys. It was a blast.
Yeah, you got it, dude. Definitely. I want to go over to OJ. Where can they find you, man?
Yeah, just right here on YouTube. That's where I usually am. Just Player Essence. Just look that up. You'll see my anime avatar that I have going in. I basically cover. I like to keep you guys informed, so I'll cover a lot of different news articles throughout the day. Shout outs to Rob's counter going up. There we go.
Is it, Rob?
There you go,
you
dude.
guys are getting me excited now. Oh man, look at that! Holy smokes, you guys!
There you go, dude. I was looking at it and I flipped over and I saw it going up because I had it up and I was like, oh, maybe I'll put that up on the scrreen so people can see it. That's really cool.
That's so rad. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, guys.
People were smashing that sub button, man.
Holy
there
smokes.
You go. But yeah, you can just find me on Player Essence. I cover a lot of Japanese Nintendo news. I'll keep you informed on what developers are working on and what games could be potentially coming. I think I have pretty good insight on that type of stuff. So you know, like, hey, what developers are working on things. So check out my channel if you're interested in that type of stuff when it comes to Nintendo and just kind of really knowing what's going on. I do 3 to 4 videos a day. So a lot of content going up for you guys, man.
Yeah, man. Definitely. What about you, Sean?
You can find me at RGT85. I'll say hi in the chat. Hi, I'm the guy with the hat and beard. Yeah, you can find me on here. Lots of stuff that I need to film and do this week. You can also find me on Nintendo Enthusiast as well, NintendoEnthusiast.com, where I do my writings. You can also occasionally find me on Destructoid. I wrote an article, and they didn't like it, so now I have to go back to the drawing board. It's okay. It wasn't that great. But yeah, that's about it.
I have to say, Sean, I want to tell you this story. I have one of my best friends who's a coworker. He's a big gamer and a big Nintendo fan too. And I was actually at his baby shower earlier today before jumping on the podcast here. And he brought you up as like a YouTuber he really likes, probably like a week and a half ago, around the time him and I went to get our SNES Classics together. And you were like one of his favorite YouTubers. He's like, dude, this guy RGT5, he's like the best. He's like my favorite YouTuber. And I was like, dude, that's Sean. He's the man. I've done a podcast with him, and you were like his hero. So
that's weird.
Like a big fan of celebrity, man.
That's weird.
Yeah,
that's cool. Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, make sure you check everybody out. Definitely, Rob is getting there to his 8K.
I can't believe it. You guys are awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Good stuff, man. I'm glad that helped some. So I guess that's it for tonight, guys. Thanks for joining us on SpawnCast Live. Definitely check out everybody in the panel here. All good content and everything. And I guess we'll see you next Saturday night. Evan, real quick, what do you got coming up, man? I know you got one thing going up.
I'm going to be burning the midnight oil to try to finish this, but we're going to see if we can't add a little bit more to the news every week. Hopefully every Sunday I can possibly post something about the actual esports focus type news. So we're going to see if I can get that done for tomorrow for you guys.
Esports, man, that'll be cool. That'll be interesting to see. I don't really know a lot of YouTube channels that cover that.
Specifically more about the business and like a couple other things going on. It's not just covering like who won what tournament at all times. There's going to be a couple things tomorrow more about like the business behind it and what's been happening.
Dude, that'll be really cool to see. I'll be really interested to see what you come up with there. Just because I unfortunately can't keep up with it as well. But if I could just watch like a couple minutes of you and you just tell us what's going on, that'd be really interesting.
Yep.
Cool. That'll work, man. Awesome. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Next Saturday night, 9 p.m. I'll also be doing the Sony broadcast at 11 a.m. Eastern time.
Sweet.
We'll be watching that. That'll be fun. Hopefully see some new stuff. So thanks, guys, for watching. We'll see you next weekend.